reaching day 6 of the main event is no easy task. But now that 97 players have made it, what's their next step?
It's time to really start applying the pressure. A lot of people are still scared at this point, and you gotta lay the hammer down.
If I'm playing for $8 million, I'm not playing to cash, I'm playing to win. Every decision you make is an $8 million situation.
A lot of people I see come in with a game plan, and they are going to play this style no matter what their table is, and that just can't be correct.
The best game plan might be no game plan at all.
I made it to day 5 last year. You often feel you'll have one chance to go really deep in an event like this. It's pretty exciting to have a second chance at it.
Savor the moment, because this is when the poker really gets good. Hi everyone, welcome to the 2012 main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. The finish line just keeps getting closer. I'm Lon McCarron with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Tonight we start day 6 here at the Rio.
Day 6, a little bit short. Now it won't be in about an hour. 90 people or 97 people up or something like that.
Chance Cornuth making sure he's fully fueled before this long day 6. For some of the remaining field, a truly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with once-in-a-lifetime money for the champion, $8.5 million along with the gold bracelet. Chip leader Kyle Karanen may look like Andy Roddick, but he's not retiring.
He's a former bartender. Maybe I should fix him up with a Norwegian waitress.
Pretty excited to be here. My biggest tournament day. So excited to be with you guys.
Susie Zhao is one of 5 women remaining, including former chip leader Gaelle Baumann.
The 29-year-old from France still with a healthy chip stack.
Marcy Top cracked the top 100.
You wouldn't know it to look at her, but this lady loves to run a big bluff.
Kara Scott right now is with 2-time bracelet winner Vanessa Selbst.
Coming in today, one of the shorter stacks, so what can we expect to see from you?
Yeah, I have some work cut out for me. The last level it didn't really go as I planned. I've been doing a lot of missing flops or making second best hands, and so, I'm still very healthy with like 30-something big blinds, 33 big blinds. So, just try to play good poker and make some hands. I mean, honestly, if I can pick up some cards, I think I'm gonna build a big stack.
What's the split between stress and focus here, going this deep in the main event?
You know, actually, it hasn't really hit me yet. I've been deep in a lot of poker tournaments, and obviously this is the big one, but I think when we get down, you know, if I happen to make it to 3 or 4 tables, I think it'll start to hit me. Right now, I'm really just in the zone. I'm really just trying to play good poker, not focus on what's at stake. It's still a long way away, 97 people. So, hopefully it'll not hit me until we're there, because otherwise I think the stress would get to be a lot.
Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Selbst has been a fixture in the top 10, but not anymore. Karanen, the leader, with 27-year-old Texan Rob Salaburu in second. Gaelle Baumann is 8th overall, and there is Nico Mogg in 10th.
Who is Nico Mogg? He's a 27-year-old German amateur, and he's my horse.
Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm trying to help the guy. He tells me mind my business. I was like, really?
Well, you really should mind your business a little more often than you do, I'll tell you that.
Amnon Fillipi and Gavin Smith seem relaxed enough. 5 of 8 players at the secondary feature table above the chip average, which is about $2 million right now. Medical researcher AJ Jejelowo is over $3 million.
The 28-year-old amateur has run pretty well so far, but I expect this to be a tough table for AJ.
Michael Esposito, another amateur here, looking to make a splash.
Esposito more conservative than Jejelowo. I expect him to pick his spots carefully tonight.
Action has been folded to Fillipi, just turned 43, the poker pro, born and lives in New York City. Ace tray of hearts and a raise to 80,000.
Amnon couldn't sleep the last few nights, so he caught up with Breaking Bad episodes from last year.
To the button, Michael Esposito on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky hole. Cam ace 10 of spades. He's also from New York, also 43.
So it's New York in this hand, but one lives in Long Island.
He was calling us right as I'm folding. I thought he'd already folded.
All right, Fillipi and Esposito.
It's kind of simultaneously happened.
Yeah.
4 deuce queen 2 spades. Fillipi with a wheel draw. Esposito picked up a flush draw. 125,000 from Amnon. And the commodity broker says raise. That's 325,000.
They look at each other warily, like you do sometimes on the A train.
200,000 more from Fillipi. That's a call.
Advantage Long Island right now.
Another queen on the turn. Amnon checks, as does Esposito. River card, and Esposito hits his flush.
Check. I got a flush.
If you got a flush, you should bet it.
He did not. Amnon gets off cheaply.
Indeed, Amnon might have called a bet on the river. If I were Esposito, at least I would have said, I've got a flush, I bet 400,000, and see if he believes me.
With over 3.7 million, Esposito takes over the chip lead at this table from Amnon Fillipi, who still sits with more than 3 million.
I like it when New Yorkers are in a hand. Esposito acted in a New York minute. He announced his flush just like that.
When this year's main event comes up in conversation, everyone wants to know the answer to 2 questions. What are the big names still in, and what's going on with the ladies? Gavin Smith, Jason Somerville, and Amnon Fillipi, just some of the recognizable names still hunting gold. And one of the ladies, the answer to both questions, Vanessa Selbst. Along with 4 others, Selbst has brought women and poker to the forefront, and it has people talking.
For reasons entirely unclear to me, the main event has remained one of the world's last male bastions. So while 5 women in the final 97 might not seem like much at the main event, it's a mini revolt. Women again did not show up here in big numbers, but those that did came to play. Baumann, Hill, Tops, Selbst, and Zhao. Wow. How come so many women have gotten so deep this year? I really don't know. I do know this, men had better not underestimate these ladies or we might see all of them at the final table.
As we mentioned, one of the biggest storylines this year has been the performance of women. 5 are left, 2 of them in the top 20, one named Vanessa Selbst.
Vanessa is fearless, but like anyone else, her game is a bit stifled with a shorter stack. She's got to get something going here.
Action on Vanessa here. She's been dealt ace-jack in the small blind. Dave Balkan with pocket 4s just raised to make it 85,000 to stick around.
Balkan, a 36-year-old Australian amateur, a game security manager for PokerStars.
Here, the double bracelet winner, who also won the same NAPT main event in back-to-back years, with a re-raise to 205,000. Now back to Balkan.
I'm all in.
All in, C2.
And that's for more than 1.1 million. And Vanessa looks uneasy.
A call here would represent 80% of Vanessa's stack.
All right, I call.
So Balkan at risk, but Vanessa has him covered by only 335,000.
Come on. Nothing silly, dealer.
Nothing silly, dealer. I guess the dealer gets silly 46% of the time in this spot. This is close to a flip.
Ace-jack for Vanessa Selbst. She and her girlfriend Miranda Forster looking for a card to knock out Balkan. And here is the flop. There's a 4 in the door, a set for Balkan.
Nothing silly there for Balkan. Selbst needs silly now.
You can deal some paint now.
Vanessa picked up a wheel draw. Turn card 10 of spades. Selbst in need of help still.
Balkan will double up here if he avoids a 5.
The river card is a 6, and Balkan does double up to almost 2.4 million.
Balkan silences Vanessa Selbst.
Nice one.
Thank you. Happy to take 50-50 against you any day of the week.
5, 8, 9, 29.
Should usually be 50-50 there.
Vanessa not in a chatty mood, down to 8 big blinds.
The once high-flying, fearsome Selbst has had her wings clipped.
I'm gonna get lucky.
I'm all in.
All right, I call.
Happy to take 50-50 against you any day of the week.
That was not how Vanessa Selbst imagined starting her day 6. Here are Phil Locke and Antonio Esfandiari with some analysis.
This is a classic example of a coin flip. Now, a lot of players might not get all the money in, but given the situation, David in late position and Vanessa with ace-jack in the small blind, I'm not surprised to see fireworks.
Right. Vanessa doesn't know that David's got pair of 4s. She just knows that he can have kind of anything. It's a late position raise. So she re-raises. Now she's in a tough spot. She's trapped by the math. She realizes, well, it's call $1 million to collect $1.5 million. She's calling for the math. She has to at this point.
Right, and I think that once she puts in the 200,000, she just has to call the rest. And if she wins the pot, she gives herself a chance to do really well in the tournament.
Super disappointing moment for Vanessa. She put herself in a spot to just have a ton of chips again, and it didn't work out. This is basically a race gone bad.
Glad I didn't have jacks. Maybe actually tilt.
I never call for the math, Lon, because I don't know the math. Ignorance is bliss.
All right, over at the secondary table, folded to the button, Gavin Smith, the 43-year-old who used to play a lot of cribbage and rummy growing up with his dad, which paved the way to poker, says all in with ace-queen offsuit.
Gavin knows the math here. Ace-queen plus 13 big blinds equals all in.
535.
The former poker dealer counts it out for Eric Le Goff, a French poker pro in the small blind with jacks.
26-year-old.
I'm winning.
And he moves all in for $2.36 million. The big blind gets out of the way, so Gavin Smith at risk with ace-queen against the pocket jacks.
When you get short in tournaments, you get into a lot of shove-or-fold situations. Gavin Smith needs to win this race.
Gavin Smith looking for help from this dealer.
Amnon Fillipi stands up, representing Gavin in this hand. Gavin thought about standing up, but decided it wasn't worth the effort.
Gavin trying to keep his main event alive here in 2012. The flop, 9-6 tray, a sad-looking flop for a sad-looking Gavin Smith.
Nothing there for him. Gavin's going to need an ace or a queen.
The jack's still good for Le Goff. Turn card 10 of diamonds. That moves Gavin a step closer to a Harley ride back home.
Le Goff looking for the knockout. Gavin Smith looking for an ace or a queen.
The river card, the 8 of hearts, and that will be it. Le Goff will collect the last chips of Gavin Smith.
For Gavin, his 5th cash in the last 9 main events, his 2nd top 100 finish.
This is Gavin's highest main event showing since 2004 when he finished 52nd, going out at 96. The Canadian earns over $62,000. So Gavin made a great run at it, but his 2012 main event is done. He joined 6,500, 2 others on the rail. Selbst hanging on, and so was pro Jason Somerville. Kara Scott right now is with Gavin Smith.
You came in slightly short-stacked. Were you looking to find a flip situation early on? Were you expecting that?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it would have been better just to steal some blinds and chip my way up quickly. I mean, I would have rather just have them all fold there, but when he called with 2 jacks, it wasn't a terrible spot with ace-queen, but just didn't get lucky in it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So Gavin out at 96th. After 5 more eliminations in this main event, the payout jumps to nearly $74,000. We'll keep it here at the secondary featured table. Under the gun is AJ Jejelowo, the amateur who has made a splash here sartorially and with his poker skills during this main event.
If I could borrow his look, I'd be a successful man, Lon. I like the patches.
10-8 of clubs and a raise to $90,000 from AJ. Fold it over to Manos Fotolakis, King-Queen of clubs. Born in Italy, lives in Greece. He makes a call.
Fotolakis has worked the last 3 years as a pharmacist assistant and a concert organizer. I think he needs a career counselor.
In the small blind, Esposito on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky hole cam. Pocket 6s.
He's a commodities broker for 18 years. Now that's a career.
He makes the call for $70,000 more. Le Goff folds his big blind. 3 players will see the flop.
3 serious amateurs.
The pocket 6s of Esposito against 4 overcards. And here is the flop. 4-9-7. Esposito's pocket 6s are the best hand. He checks. Jejelowo with an up and down straight draw checks. Now to Fotolakis with his 2 overcards. Not out of the running. He bets $135,000.
Pharmacist assistants are aggressive.
That gets rid of Esposito.
Boy, Esposito is quick to fold the best hand. I don't think AJ will be folding his draw.
AJ has built a reputation as a very aggressive player throughout this Amazon room.
AJ says if he wins the main event, he'll fly to Hokkaido, Japan, because they have really good sushi there.
I would imagine so. AJ says raise to $375.
Manos Fotolakis meet AJ Jejelowo. Medical researcher by day, maniacal check raiser by night.
And a call for $240,000 more.
AJ couldn't shake the 30-year-old Greek who has squadouche.
Turn card pairs Fotolakis. He grabs a big advantage.
Well, that's a bad card for AJ if he's going to try to get rid of Fotolakis again.
Come on.
AJ all in for almost $2 million. And a quick call from Fotolakis.
Fotolakis calls with top pair in a heartbeat. He knew he was AJ Jeje bluff stuff, not AJ Jeje set of 9s.
So as far as Fotolakis knows, he has to avoid 4 jacks and 4 6s on the river.
AJ in the process of bluffing off his entire stack.
I will have that about a bit for sure. You will win, don't worry. No worries.
You feeling him?
Yeah, he will win. Jack or, it will be a jack or 6. I'm a medium. Really? Jack or 6? It will be that.
You can see right through the burn.
It will be Jack or 6.
Well, which
For
one's
sure.
it gonna be?
I don't know. Jack or 6? Be everybody sure it's Jack or 6, right? That's a Jack or 6. It's gonna be Jack or 6.
I guess this is going to be a Jack or a 6 on the river.
That's what I'm hearing. Here is the river card. And it is the Jack! AJ survives.
She covered me. Here, okay.
AJ, Jeje, bluff off all my chips with spike and buy a medical miracle on the river low-woe.
You have a lot of greens.
Fodolakis knew it. AJ with almost 5 million chips now.
I hope when you make the final table, you remember me.
I hope you come back. I hope you come back and make the final table.
I cannot, man.
Yes, you can.
How can I?
My boy Denzel Washington once said the word can't should never be in a man's vocabulary.
No, that's a good movie. That's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. If I had 5 million now, that I should have, I think it would be nice. But that's poker.
That was poker's version of a Greek tragedy. Fodolakis knew it was coming, and it did.
All in. Call. Jack or 6, it will be that. Much poker.
Back at the Rio on this crucial day 6 of the main event, just 11 tables left in the Amazon room, and one of them, pro David Randall, at risk. He needs the last queen in the deck to river a set to overcome the pair of aces flopped by Jan Heitman.
Randall wins the pot with a queen. There'll be a chop if there's a Jack.
The river card, the tray of hearts, David Randall leaves us with 92nd place money in hand.
Randall, of course, will need to show Jason Mercier's ID at the payout cage to get his money.
He had 5 cashes in the 2012 World Series of Poker, wins over $62,000 from the main event.
Heitman's shirt, incidentally, was patched together by a neighborhood watch group of raccoons from 7 different trash receptacles.
Elsewhere, action on chip leader Kyle Karanen. Jeremy Osmus had him drawing dead after the turn with aces up and checked it over to the chip leader.
2 well-educated 30-something Las Vegas pros here.
Karanen putting chips together, over 1.1 million.
Pot-sized bet from Karanen, and it's for 45% of Osmus's stack.
Osmus, the 32-year-old poker pro.
2 things running through Osmus's mind. 1, is this guy bluffing me? 2, what do I tell my pregnant wife expecting our second child if I make a bad call here and don't put bread on the table?
He does make the call. He won't have to tell her that. That's a good call.
That's a very good call. That's the kind of tough call that will put the table on notice. An attentive player is less likely to bluff Jeremy now, and he'll know that.
Kyle Karanen began the day with about 7 million. He slips to 5.6 million. And with that win, Jeremy Osmus is in the black for day 6 by almost 1 million. And as you alluded to, Norman, he's been raised up a few notches in the eyes of his table mates. And it seems we're down to just 4 women in the main event field as Susie Zhao was just knocked out in 90th place.
The 25-year-old Los Angeles pro goes bust.
She wins almost $74,000, which will help dry her tears. So just 89 players left in the running for the 2012 No Limit Hold'em World Championship. The yellow chips are off the table and in storage, so along with the 5 and 25K chips are the lavender chips worth $100,000 each. There is Vanessa Selbst at our featured table. She came into this day 6 with a below-average chip stack, and now she's one of the shortest stacks in the room. We've told Vanessa's story throughout this main event, but it is worth repeating. Yale undergrad and Yale Law, 2 bracelets, and one of the most feared players, male or female, in the game today.
Vanessa and Jennifer Harmon, the only 2 women in World Series history with 2 open event bracelets. She's a great closer when she's got chips.
Folded to Selbst with Jack 9, and she's all in for her last $315,000.
Vanessa pushing with just under 8 big blinds left.
The oft-feared poker pro with a tiny chip stack now, all in the middle. Scott Anderson in the small blind with ace-7 of diamonds.
He's a 39-year-old semi-pro. Scott works as an advertising consultant in North Carolina.
With 1.7 million chips, he makes the call to put Selbst at risk.
Anderson was probably wondering whether to raise Jessie Sylvia out.
Sylvia in the big blind.
Pocket 8s one time. All right, I'll take it.
She'll take it, but she'll need help to stick around.
Vanessa's girlfriend Miranda wants to stick around.
I had a 9, but
What?
I had a 9.
Why would you say that?
Well, that'll change the percentages.
Because then it happens like, wow,
normally does bring
the last 9.
It normally brings it out, really.
Yeah, it does.
All right, let's summon it.
Vanessa Selbst at risk. Deuce 7-8. Middle pair for Anderson. Vanessa picks up a gut shot.
Vanessa will take a 10 now.
Come on, you know that was slightly exciting.
Too many outs. I need like 3 outs or something.
Well, she's got 9 outs, and that's one of them. Vanessa turns us straight.
Just the nuts, though. Just the nuts.
Why would she say that?
Vanessa will double up with that straight. Still short stacked.
I was about to predict a 10 ball in the turn, and then I was like, if she busts out, that would feel kind of mean.
Now I can 3-bet. Now I can 3-bet fold.
And now she can smile again.
Well, Norman, she doesn't have much to smile about, but Vanessa still has some chips here on day 6 of the main event. The World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. This year's bracelet worth $150,000. Back inside the Amazon room, that graphic about to change. Ben Greenberg, the one-time chip leader who played with a broken bone in his hand, has been eliminated by Jordan Batt.
It's hard to finish 88th with a broken bone in your betting hand.
So Greenberg picks up 88th place money this year worth almost $74,000. Knocked out by the 34-year-old Batt, an amateur poker player from Illinois.
One good-looking guy knocks out another. That would never happen if I were in the hand. The University of Illinois beats Duke. That would never happen at March Madness.
Been greeted by his wife, McCall, and his friends on his way to the payout cage. Back at the secondary feature table, we get another look at Gaelle Baumann. This year's run is incredible for her, considering she first touched a card just 5 years ago.
I'm Gaelle Baumann, and I'm playing my first main event. I started playing poker in 2007. And it was a home game. I just played with at university with a couple of friends. For $5, it was funny, and I won a lot, so I immediately liked the game. My parents supported me right away. I finished my studies, so that may have helped. And then I said I would take a year and see if I can make a professional living out of poker, and it worked out. I think that there's still very few women playing, but more and more girls start playing and learning the game, and why shouldn't they be successful? I'm sure we can beat the guys.
Her biggest strength, she says, is patience.
For more on Gaelle, here's Kara Scott.
French poker player Gaelle Baumann started today in the top 10 chip stacks. She had a restless night, though. I spoke to her earlier, and she said that there was one hand from day 5 that actually haunted her dreams. She was involved in a hand where she raised pre-flop to $60,000. The player in the small blind didn't see her action and actually moved all in behind her. When the big blind folded, the small blind assumed that the hand was over, and he mucked his cards. When he realized his mistake and that Gaelle was still involved in the hands, he tried to retrieve his cards from the muck. Of course, they were not recoverable. Tournament floor staff were called over. They consulted, and they finally ruled that he wasn't going to lose his tournament life in that spot or his chip stack of over 1 million chips, and instead, he was only responsible for the initial $60,000 raise.
That player, of course, was Andras Koriknoy, who is still alive here at the main event.
Baumann just raised Stefan Basson's pocket jacks to $210,000.
I'm all in.
He shoves, she calls. So ace-king for Baumann, pocket jacks for Basson.
Two 29-year-old pros, Basson from Montreal.
I'm probably going to cheer if I win this. I apologize in advance.
I thought you had like 8-9 or something. Oh,
Snap it.
all right.
Basson trying to hang on to his main event life. The flop. There's a king in the Wendell. Gaelle Baumann takes a huge advantage.
And no cheering from Basson.
It's been fun.
It's been fun means please give me a jack.
All right, the turn card. Basson a long shot. There's the queen. Gives him a little hope with the open ender.
A new set of outs. Basson no longer wants a jack. He wants a non-diamond 9 or ace.
Baumann with the flush draw. The river card. 6 of clubs, and that will end Stefan Basson's main event in 87th place.
With post-hand texting, bad news travels fast.
So Passon eliminated with almost $74,000 in his pocket. Gaelle Baumann now up to over $5.1 million. She may have had a sleepless night, but Gaelle Baumann still has enough giddy up to win a race. Back in Las Vegas, the 2012 World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Field getting a little smaller as we speak. Isaac Barron just went out in 85th place, his third cash of this World Series, second ever in the main event. He wins almost $74,000. All right, back at the featured table, Vanessa Selbst, the short stack there with 700,000 chips.
I'm from a little island, and it's a place where everyone knows each other pretty well. So if we come back for the final table, I'm gonna have I'll have enough people I can lend you a few chairs.
Jesse Sylvia from Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts.
If I make it, I'll bring everyone back and put them in a separate hotel, except my girl.
Action on Scott Anderson, Little League Baseball coach in North Carolina with ace queen, a raise to 90,000.
I hiked at Mount Charleston on Tuesday. That's exactly what that was.
You hiked Mount Charleston?
I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just did Fire Valley.
I hiked into the Amazon room this morning from the Rio parking lot.
That's a long way, actually. I give you a lot of credit for that. Folded to the big blind, Vanessa Selbst with the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
She's a poker coach at deucescrack.com, but I'm opening up a Jack Link's wildcard hand instructional academy later this year. Still, it's next to impossible to figure out what Vanessa has. The only tell I've picked up online, if she rolls her eyes at you, she is annoyed.
She calls for 50,000. All red choices for you, Norman.
Well, I remember Chan and Negrano in similar spots short stacked. It's A or D. See if you hit or miss the flop.
5 tray 5, Vanessa first to act. The short stack at this table checks. Anderson got no piece of that. He checks.
If she had trip 5s, I think she was looking to check raise there.
Queen's up now for Anderson, the grad from Appalachian State University. Vanessa putting chips together. That's 80,000.
Well, now it's A or C for her. She's not fooling around with the draw here. It's a small bet. If she's got trip 5, she needs to get full value. Opportunities like this don't come around too often.
Anderson with the call.
Vanessa went to Yale, of course. I applied to Yale. They returned my application fee and actually gave me $150 to apply to Harvard.
The river card, the king of spades. No improvement to Anderson's hand.
I think she might go all in here, and if she does, it's trip 5s for sure.
All in. All in.
Well, part A is right.
Second pair top kicker. Not good here, Scott. She's got it.
Anderson started with about twice the stack of Vanessa. He folds, and Vanessa had it. 7-5 for trips to win the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand. Nice job, Norman.
Yeah, good read from Anderson. Good read by me. There are a lot of Maryland people left in this main event, Lon. I just showed you why.
So Selbst climbing back to near 1 million now. A hit to Anderson. Anything right now to him is painful. He's sitting with 30 big blinds. Only 80 or so people on the planet still in the running for that prestigious main event bracelet. One of those is Gaelle Baumann over at the secondary featured table, sitting with 4.3 million chips. She's the chip leader at this table. Also here, an amateur from New York, Omar Saeed. He has over 2.5 million. He's cashing back-to-back main events.
My goodness, who is this?
Canadian pro Marc-Andre Laudasseur.
Patrick Antonius is so yesterday's news. Wow.
With Jack 9 of clubs in the big blind, he just calls. Baumann had min-raised under the gun with aces.
Tell me this isn't a couple waiting to happen. They're both 29. They both speak French. And look at them.
The flop, queen, king, deuce, a gut shot to a king-high straight for Laudasseur.
If these two aren't dating by the end of the hand, there's something wrong with this world.
He's putting chips together, 95,000. Baumann with the biggest pocket pair.
Baumann thinking she might not want to embarrass or humiliate him before their first date.
Baumann just calls.
Yeah, if this were me in the hand, she raises. But she's not going to raise that mug.
Turn card, and Laudasseur turns the tables with a king-high straight.
I mean, this guy's so good-looking, he makes Gaelle Baumann look like Fred Flintstone. Where are we in the hand?
We're on the turn. Laudasseur just hit a straight, trying to crack the aces of Baumann. The French-Canadian bets 215,000.
I'll say this, if these two were meant to be with each other, they're getting off on the wrong foot here.
No, Baumann, the French woman living in Malta. Her aces are no good, but a jack will give her Broadway. She calls.
You know, a nice first date for them would be bowling at the Gold Coast. It's real close to the Rio.
I like bowling. 8 of clubs, no help to Baumann. Her aces are in ruins. Laudeser now.
It may not seem like it, but there is chemistry here.
He's got a 6-card straight now, no bonus. He bets 470,000.
They're like Bogart and Bacall, Brad and Angelina.
The tension building here between these two at this table.
You hit your gut shot.
Was that?
You hit your gut shot. Would make sense.
Actually, it sounds like she should be dating Kid Poker.
Baumann calls.
I did.
And she was right.
Now, this is still a great story to tell the kids how they first met. He had Jack 9, she had pocket aces. He hit his gut shot. You thought Moneymaker was a fairy tale?
Baumann loses 20% of her stack. Sit down, Marc-Andre. You have some chips to stack. A nice pot in the nick of time for Laudeser, who has a better than average stack now.
Be still my heart.
Texan Rob Salabura was the chip leader right now with nearly $7 million. Been quite a while since a Texan won the World Championship of Texas Hold'em. It was Bill Smith back in '85. There's Houston, Texas resident AJ Jejelowo, who just 3-bet with A7 into the pocket kings of Amit Makija, and he just calls from the cutoff.
I love AJ's game. Eventually, though, he's not going to have any chips left to play his game.
920,000 in the middle. Good flop for kings.
It appears as if AJ's philosophy is to bet or raise until you can't bet or raise anymore. It works for him a lot. It's hard to work when you're up against pocket kings.
He does keep firing. 600,000 into the pot. Makija, the LA pro, just calls.
Amax got him where he wants him. And remember, no one ever gives AJ credit for a hand. This time, Amax right.
Another 9 on the turn. Kings up now for Makija. A check from AJ.
Makija's got to really love his hand now.
Amit thinking, how rich can he get off AJ? That's $500,000.
Jejelowo with ace high and no draw.
AJ trying to figure out what Amit's up to. All in. That would put Makija all in. And there's the call. And Amit just needs to fade a few outs to double up here.
Now Makija picks off that bluff in a heartbeat. There's a fine line between fearless and reckless. AJ just crossed it.
Bad timing for AJ there.
Only an ace on the river will send Amit Makija out of here.
Full time for a deuce dealer.
The 7 of clubs just as good. Makija picked up a big hand and found a willing investor in Jejelowo to secure 5.2 million chips.
I love the way these fellas handle themselves. AJ just bluffed off 2/3 his stack and acts like he's looking for pillow covers at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Well, if AJ is on the road to elimination, that is a hand that will burn in his gut for a long time.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that bite?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Tonight's bracelet moments are brought to you by PokerNews.com. Not to be confused with Bakes, this David Baker, known as ODB, was the winner of the $2,500 8-game mix. German poker journalist Jan-Peter Yachtman took down the 10K PLO championship for $661,000.
I was dreaming of the final table first, and now I made it and I even got champion, so this is unbelievable.
And longtime grinder Ronnie Barta won the bracelet in the $2,500 six-handed limit hold'em event for $182,000. Yachtman brought gold to Germany after fellow countryman Pius Heinz won last year's main event. This main event not kind to Heinz and the 6 previous champs.
Johnny Chan was the former champion who went deepest this year. Our next main event champion could be David ODB Baker, who's having a fabulous 2012 World Series, 1 bracelet, 4 final tables, and 8 cashes.
Baker right now sits with almost 2.7 million chips, slightly above the chip average. Back over to the featured table where both Vanessa Selbst and Jason Somerville are struggling to hang on. Vanessa right now sits with 835,000. Jason hurting even more with 575,000. Action on Eric Buckman, early position with pocket tens.
I'm all in.
And the 09 November Niners is all in for almost 1.6 million. Casey Yonce, a poker pro from Columbus, Ohio, on the Jack Links Beef Jerky Hole Cam, ace 10.
Buckman all in with 30 big blinds from early position. Wouldn't he only be called by a better hand?
Folded around to the button, Jason Somerville. Somerville looks down at 2 nines.
Actually, Buckman might get called here by a worse hand. I stand corrected as usual. Somerville only has 11 big blinds left.
Started the day with $1.4 million.
All in.
And he does say all in. Bobby Law, the small blind folds. Selbst gets out of the way, so it's Buckman with his 10s trying to knock out Jason Somerville with his 9s.
I didn't love Buckman's all in. I didn't love Somerville's call, but I like both these guys, and they usually know better than I do.
So Somerville at risk. The flop. Tray 9-5, a thing of beauty for Somerville, a set.
Have I mentioned Eric Buckman thinks he runs bad? He's got good reason.
You've done this before, haven't you?
Yeah, I did do this once before.
You're getting to be a pro at it.
Yeah.
Turn card is an 8, no help to Buckman.
How much is it, by the way, Jason?
I have like 550, something like that.
You're really giving the dealer a death stare?
No, I asked him how much it was.
A deuce on the river. Somerville will survive.
Why is Vanessa engaging Eric Buckman right there? He took a bad beat and didn't say a word. Yale should add a tableside manner course to its curriculum. And Jason Somerville keeps doing his best work here on 2 outers.
Jason's stack not robust, but he's still in it. Buckman steaming down to 1 million chips. And as Selbst mentioned, this is becoming old hat for Jason, who was the beneficiary of a 2-outer early on day 5.
Red card. Red card.
Jacket
Any
clubs
red.
at least.
Any red card.
Wow. Somehow I'm sure both my suckouts will get on TV. Hopefully there are some good hands too, but.
Let's get to one of the outer tables where Rich Pine, holding ace-king, called the shove of Marty Zabib holding pocket 9s. Pine could afford it with 3 million chips. Zabib shoved for 770.
Pine, a New Jersey amateur who owns a landscaping company. Zabib, another guy I'm rooting for, a lovable local, a former poker dealer.
9s against ace-king of clubs. Here is the flop. No ace, no king, just 1 club. Zabib's pocket 9 still good.
Those are great signs, but they're longer than the law of sea treaty.
Turn card now. Queen of clubs. Pine with 4 clubs to a flush.
Club work.
7 of hearts. Zabib dances through the raindrops to safety and a double up.
I think they've set a record for most signs at a non-final table.
Marty and his creative friends hang around a little while longer. A slight hit to Pine. He's down to 2.3 million. So Zabib still in the house. Frustration building, though, as a 9 gives Somerville a second life. And Marty Zabib uses pocket 9s to keep his main event hopes alive. In the Amazon room, 9 tables in action, 75 players left. That number might be reduced by 2. A huge river card coming on an outer table where Eric Buckman has been moved. Elizabeth Hill with 2 pair 7s and 4s, a card away from knocking out both Buckman with a pair of 7s and Andrew Flaherty, who's already drawing dead. River card is an 8, and Hill gets the double knockout. Flaherty and Buckman out.
Hill showing some pep in her step, playing 7-4 suited.
So Andrew Flaherty out in 75th, wins over $88,000, as does Buckman, who will finish in 74th place.
With Buckman's departure, now only one former main event final tableist remains, Sam Holden.
Hill nabs the pot of almost 1.1 million, increasing her holdings to almost 6.2 million.
4 women left in the main event, hanging tough.
All right, let's get back over to the featured table. Vanessa Selbst, once again, the short stack.
Because I wouldn't even know how to do an ace-queen dance.
Queen.
What does that even look like? Oh, that's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
You got your pool bridge there.
How about a king dance would be?
Oh my God.
That would be pretty hard.
Ace-king dance, hold up.
I am tickled yet saddened by this display line.
No. Yeah, I mean.
That's Bobby Law on the button. 7 tray of spades into the muck to Vanessa in the small blind.
Wow, hold on, let me see how exactly much I have.
Vanessa, short stacked in the small blind, as you mentioned.
And the big blind, Andras Koroknoi.
635. What do you have there? Like, I know you cover me. I'm quite aware of that. Just curious as to what you have.
About 2.6 million.
That was quite a pre-peak production.
Wow, and the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Hole Cam, she better learn the pocket king's finger dance. All in.
Vanessa with 13 big blinds left, and she would love a double up.
Jack 8 for Koroknoi.
30-year-old Hungarian pro. This would be for a quarter of his stack, and this would be a loose call.
No. 660.
Maybe he should go all in and throw his cards into the muck. He might win something.
He would love to knock off a strong player like Selbst. He folds. And Vanessa's kings get no extra chips.
Yeah, she is frustrated. She needs chips.
You couldn't do a king's dance, so it's impossible.
We couldn't figure out the king.
Right, exactly. So.
It's the first time you guys folded onto the blinds, really? That's cute.
It's just
what?
That's sign language again, that works.
I didn't know how to do the king's dance because we didn't figure it out yet, so I couldn't do it.
Brutal.
That's pretty brutal right there. You guys just fold.
You had all the good cards.
Aces left in the deck.
People think you're lucky when you get big hands. That's just part A. Part B is getting action and winning with those hands. Vanessa bemoaning the lack of action.
Absolutely, and Koroknoi took enough time where she thought he might call, but ended up mucking it. Law with Queen 10 into the muck. Vanessa Selbst on the button now.
No pre-peak foreplay this time.
Queen 7.
I'm all in.
For 745,000. Koroknoi now in the small blind. Jack Deuce can't play. Merson, Greg Merson from Maryland. Ace 8 of clubs makes the call to put Selbst at risk.
First light shove from the button.
Well, light shove means she's a 2-to-1 dog. You think I'm rooting for Maryland or for Yale here, huh?
Good luck.
You don't mean it.
I like you. I like you though. So.
I like you too, Greg.
She likes you too.
So Vanessa Selbst once again at risk. Queen 7 against Ace 8. 7 deuce 10, and Selbst pairs up.
I'm behind.
Merson with a flush draw and overs to her 7s.
Turn 9.
Vanessa quick to do the math there.
Dude, you don't want too many outs.
7s are ahead, but Merson's hand is favored.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, 9 you'll never win, 9 turns.
Yeah, 100% 9 never win.
Turn card now. 6 of hearts, no club, but 3 more outs for Merson, picking up a gut shot.
I gotta see this first.
Now, this is a Phil lock maneuver. He wants the first peek at the river. Vanessa's got to fade a lot of cards to stick around.
She's had such a strong main event and now trying to fade trouble on the river to double up and stay alive. The river card is a 9, and Merson straight to the 10 closes out the main event for Vanessa Selbst.
Another great showing for one of the no-limit hold'em greats in the game.
A well-deserved round of applause for Vanessa Selbst, out in 73rd place, winning over $88,000.
First fist bump of the series.
Merson's unlikely rebirth in the main event continues. Once an extreme short stack with 3 big blinds, he's back to an average stack with 2.6 million. Rob Salaburu still in first right now. Hill in third, Osmus in 8th, and Baumann with just over 4 million in 10th. Let's go down to Kara Scott right now.
Vanessa Selbst is a great player, won her 2nd career bracelet this summer. Unfortunately, we've just lost her from the feature table. There's a lot of breaking of tables and moving around. Does that affect your game at all when you're playing with all new players over and over again?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to adjust to the table. I mean, this table I actually knew a lot of the players there, so I kind of had a good feeling of how it was going to play out. But yeah, I don't know. It mostly came down to just trying to find good spots to shove and just ran into a hand at the end.
I know that you've gone deep in a lot of events, obviously. Does fatigue play into this at all? Do you feel fatigued? Does it affect your game?
Honestly, I was fatigued on day 4, but just randomly because I didn't sleep that much. But I've just been like kind of handling it, making sure to just get home, get some rest, and come back and play a good game of poker. And I've been fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Cool, thanks a lot.
Vanessa leaves the female contingent in good hands with Elizabeth Hill and her 6 million chips. And Gaelle Baumann, who is struggling to put that day 5 hand with Andras Korik now behind her, still has a top 10 stack. This year's main event has been a movie filled with rich plot lines. Henry Tran played the villain.
You want to say that I'm rude? Did I say
no? I did not say you're rude. You understand English?
Kevin Pollak played the celebrity on the rush of a lifetime.
I like to think of it as a Zen game. Just me and the cards.
Great fun, everybody. Good luck.
And Daniel Negreanu played the savvy pro searching for the title.
I'm stressed out.
That continues to elude him.
Good luck, guys. Good luck.
With those chapters closed, new ones must take their place. Elizabeth Hill and Gaelle Baumann competing in a game dominated by men. Jason Somerville and Greg Merson finding their way in a new world. And the old main event staple of the great unknown. What will tonight's action reveal? Day 6, Act 2 is now. Welcome back to the Rio for the World Series of Poker main event, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. On day 1, everyone is on equal footing. Here on day 6, with 6,500 players gone, just 72 remain. Hi everyone, Lon McCarran with Norman Chad and Kara Scott, bringing you all the key moments from the 2012 main event. Gaelle Baumann continues to stand out.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. Je suis Normand et j'adore les poker.
Along with Baumann, Norway's Elizabeth Hill is making women a major 2012 storyline.
Hi, mademoiselle. Ya Normand, no ya el scare poker.
Jason Somerville won a bracelet last year. He's got an uphill climb to win his second.
I think I can speak English to him. You need chips.
27-year-old Rob Salaburu, who'll chat you up at the table and take your chips.
Alan Tay and Orchid Tay. That's Pig Ladnalon.
Salaburu on top, Hill in third, successful live and online pro Amit Makija in fourth. Vegas regular Jeremy Osmus spiked a queen on the river to move into the top 10. Leo Wolpert supporters calling for a queen. Their guys all in pre-flop with ace-queen of diamonds, needing help against the ace-king of Roland Israelashvili.
This is a former race car driver versus a future lawyer.
Wolpert at risk. The flop 4-8 tray. He picks up the nut flush draw. Wolpert still in need. Turn card is a king. Israelashvili takes a 4.5 to 1 advantage.
Diamond. The queen is no good anymore. Wolpert needs a diamond.
Diamond, diamond, diamond. Hey, diamond.
The river card now is a diamond. And Wolpert saves his tournament.
The dream lives. The dream lives. Gonna have 2 roommates on the November 9th.
Apparently, if your rail says diamond 8 times, it will come.
Wolpert survives with almost 1.6 million chips now.
Good things do happen to Met fans.
Leo Wolpert is one of many Americans remaining in the field, but a couple of players carry the weight of their country. British pro Sam Holden of 2011 November 9 fame is at it again, hoping to pull off an improbable back-to-back. And Norwegian Elizabeth Hill, red-haired and leaving opponents red-faced, is third in chips with no signs of let-up. They are deep here on day 6, and they are dangerous.
I like Sam Holden and Elizabeth Hill, but the weight of a nation? They don't even look strong enough to carry groceries home, and you want them to carry an entire nation? That's got to be several tons. But hey, each might carry home a little history. Holden has a chance to navigate 2 6,000-plus player fields to make back-to-back final 9s, and Hill has a chance to be the second woman ever to make the main event final table. That sounds like a lot of weight for both of them before you start piling countrymen on their shoulders.
I have this friend that I used to coach, and he's an enormous nit. It's horrible. He was going to stake one of our mutual friends for cash games and said, the deal was fine or whatever, but he said that my friend had to pay out of pocket all the tips to the dealer.
Keep track of every tip.
Like he had to keep separate tip money in his pocket to tip the dealer with.
That's about as nitty as nitty could be.
It's unbelievable. And he's from the UK, so he has no gambling taxes either. And even with all that extra money, he's still enormously nitty.
Wow. Norman, are you based in the UK now?
Good for you.
Jason Somerville has a lot of work to do at this featured table, and the work is not made any easier with Elizabeth Hill on his left.
The woman used to working for tips has a lot of chips. Be wary of the waitress.
For Somerville, his stack should dictate his play.
With about 17 big blinds, not much wiggle room for Jason. He needs to pick up a hand and hope it holds.
The small blind right now is 1 green chip. The big blind 2 green chips with an orange chip for the ante. Jason Somerville, the short stack at this featured table right now. Hill with about 5.9 million, the big stack at the table.
Jason started day 6 with 1.4 million chips, but has retreated.
Pocket queens.
A welcome sight, unless someone else has pocket aces. But Jason overcame that to stay alive on day 5.
A raise from Somerville to 105,000. Sam Holden, the 2011 November Niner, on the left, still in the game.
Sam 9th at that November 9 last year. He doesn't have Somerville covered by that much. He might want to wait for a better spot.
And he will wait for a better spot. Folded to Casey Janssen, the small blind. He's out of the way. In the big blind, Jacob Balsiger with a Jack Link's beef jerky whole cam looking at King 10.
Arizona State student. You may recall he busted his college roommate, Greg Milliron, on day 5.
All in.
He raises Jason all in. Jason calls with the queens.
And it's a welcome sight for Jason not to see pocket aces against his pocket queens.
So the 21-year-old student Balsiger trying to knock off the 25-year-old bracelet-winning Jason Somerville. And here's the flop, 10, 7, 10, trip 10s for Balsiger.
I've run good enough, can't complain.
Somerville there goes from a big lead to another 2-outer he needs.
Queen on the river.
The main event looking bleak again for Jason. A tray on the turn, Jason down to his last opportunity.
Somerville now looking for his 3rd 2-outer of this main event to survive. He's got to have a river queen.
The river card, the 8 of spades, and that will end this chapter of Jason Somerville's 2012 World Series of Poker.
A really solid run for the Long Island pro.
Somerville displayed courage and grace at the poker table and away from it, 69th place, worth over $106,000. Balsiger stacking his winnings. As Jason Somerville makes his exit, he will be striking fear into poker opponents for a long time to come. Balsiger with a boost to his stack. He climbs to over $4 million. Jason Somerville is with Kara Scott backstage.
Clearly a disappointing way to go out, especially being ahead pre-flop, but it went the other way for you a couple of other times, though, earlier today.
Yeah, I can't complain. I got it in with queens against aces and river to queen. I got it in with 9s against 10s and flopped a 9. So I obviously can't complain getting it, losing a 70-30. But, it was a great run. Absolutely such an awesome experience. I'm really happy with how I played, almost every day. I feel like I made very few mistakes, and hopefully we'll be back again next year.
You seem to have so many people who are supporting you both here and also kind of online, watching, following. What's that like for you?
Well, it's great. Obviously that enthusiasm and energy from the universe is great. And it's so awesome. And I'm very lucky and honored to have people that care about what I'm doing. Because it's just poker after all, and to have people that really do care is awesome. And I definitely appreciate it.
Well, we look forward to seeing you here again. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
5 more eliminations and the payout climbs to over $128,000. The top 7 will receive over $1 million. First place over $8.5 million.
Essentially, you have to finish in the top 1% of a 6,600 player field to earn $100,000. I guess it beats flipping burgers, but that payday seems puny to me.
Action on Elizabeth Hill, ace 4 of hearts. She loves her job as a waitress at Aroma in Bergen, Norway. A raise to $100,000.
She's also worked as a hotel receptionist and a bartender.
She is one of the tournament leaders. Pocket kings for Jacob Balsiger on the button.
Studying political science, will be a senior. He says he is a poker player first and a student second, but right now he is studying Elizabeth Hill.
He got to play with Phil Ivey on day 1 of his main event. That was a huge thrill for him. And just calls with the kings. In the small blind, Jean-Yves Malherbe, a sports journalist in Belgium with ace 10 off.
The 28-year-old is getting married later this year. He should talk to a good lawyer about sheltering his main event winnings from the prenup.
Well, he saw Elizabeth Hill raise and get a call from Balsiger. And now in the small blind, Mal Erb with a re-raise to 330,000. The big blind gets out of the way, so back to Hill with the suited ace.
Mal Erb trying to squeeze here, and Hill's small ace does shrink a bit in this spot.
Hill starting the hand with over 5.8 million. Wow, a 4-bet to 725.
Oh, the small ace is not shrinking, it's sprouting. And what do pocket kings think of all this?
Yeah, now the player with the real hand with a re-raise to $1.5 million.
Mal Erb tried to squeeze, he'll recognize that, and now Balsiger's original slow play with pocket kings paying off. Mal Erb can't continue.
Mal Erb does fold, getting the message. Now Hill.
Well, now Hill can only continue if she thinks that Balsiger knows that she knows that Mal Erb was squeezing, and she thinks he's now trying to push her off a marginal hand.
Poker is such a complicated game.
Beyond me.
Hill does get rid of her suited ace, and Balsiger will take that pot.
You've got to love the smell of uncontested chips.
Over 2.6 million coming his way after the 5-bet, moving him into 5th place. Hill splashing around with her mountain of chips, wisely retreated.
The 21-year-old on a roll.
That's going to be fun.
Hill still left with over 5 million, but a great start for Balsiger as King 10 and Pocket Kings move him into the upper echelons of the main event leaderboard.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high roller bowl 7 champion.
Oh, yeah.
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Chips are the tool to attain poker greatness. $8.5 million and the World Championship bracelet. Things going well right now for Jake Balsiger in this tournament, knocking out Jason Somerville and then expertly slow playing Kings. Currently a student at Arizona State, 2012 was difficult before the main event. He sustained a serious head injury that resulted in a loss of his sense of smell and taste.
He was riding his bike home from class and was hit by a truck, doesn't remember the accident, doesn't remember that week, woke up in a hospital with a shattered arm and a cracked skull.
With ace-queen, it has been folded to Balsiger, and he raises to 100,000. Mal Erb gets out of the way. Folded over to the button, Greg Merson. Merson looks down on the Jack Link's beef jerky whole cam at ace-9 of diamonds.
Down to 8 tables here at the main event, and I believe there are 4 players left who attended the University of Maryland. What other school has better representation here?
He calls for 100,000. Hill in the small blind gets out of the way. Sam Holden in the big blind with 2 red jacks.
He had 19 big blinds left to start the hand, looking at a min raise and a call in front of him.
Last year's November Niner, considering his options. And he shoves them all in, taking a stand to Balsiger now.
How much is that?
Balsiger, 6 months past his 21st birthday, needs 860,000 more to call.
He's been on a rush.
And he does call to put Holden at risk. Now Merson gets out of the way, so Balsiger has Sam all to himself, but will need help from the dealer to score the knockout.
Hard to believe that Sam Holden could be knocked out here by someone who is 2 years younger than he is.
Isn't that true? All right, here's the flop. Sam Holden at risk. Tray 8 for Holden's jacks are still good.
A couple of kids with a dream, Lon.
A couple of kids, indeed. You have to run good to get this deep. Whose luck will hold up here? The turn card. 5 of diamonds. Balsiger picks up a better flush draw and a wheel draw. Merson would have hit his flush right there.
Good one.
That perked up Balsiger. 14 outs now to knock out Sam Holden.
The river card, the 10 of spades, not one of them, so the jacks protect Sam Holden from elimination. The double up worth over 2 million chips.
Holden shakes off the young punk.
Wow, that was quite a minefield Holden just walked through for his double up.
I was kind of thinking I'd had my share of Runged in this tournament.
Finally found out what it feels like to lose an all-in pot.
Really?
Peculiar feeling.
But he still has almost 5 million chips. At an outer table below the Joe Hashem and Jamie Gold banners, AJ Jejelowo was all in, looking to have his pocket trays win a flip against the ace-king of Shahriar Asare.
Contrasting hairstyles here.
The flop, 8 ace, jack, Asare flops an ace. Jejelowo gets a strong jolt of mortality.
Yeah, that ace could spell the end of AJ's scintillating main event run.
The turn, a queen, AJ on the precipice of elimination.
The medical researchers gotta have a 3.
The river card. is the king of diamonds, and that is it. Jejelowo hands over the last of his chips. Asare plays the villain.
That is it for AJ Jeje. Chips no mo lowo.
The well-dressed, well-spoken, and whip-smart AJ Jejelowo out of the main event in 66th place.
He had a lot of pep in his step.
Asare now sits with nearly 5 million chips after his knockout of AJ Jejelowo.
AJ, how do you say your last name?
Jejelowo.
Jejelowo?
Jejelowo. That's exactly how.
Do you have to pronounce your own name correctly before you get paid?
Well, AJ showing his victory at the New Orleans Circuit main event in 2011 was no fluke. 65 now remain. The average stack inflates to over 3 million. Now back at the featured table.
What's going on? Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Here we go, everybody. Good luck.
Oh, is it you?
The dealer of the year in the house.
Yeah, it's the first time I've had the pleasure this year. So.
Congrats, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Tim Louie from New Orleans, recently named Dealer of the Year here.
He's the Peyton Manning of dealers.
Casey Jans under the gun, 5'4" of clubs, 27-year-old, mostly a cash game player.
He has played a lot online with Greg Merson and Marc-Andre Ladesseur.
He raised to $105,000. Malherbe now with pocket nines.
Malherbe's an amateur, likes to play one night a week online.
He is a sports journalist, and he's become part of the story here at the main event. He calls for $105,000. Now Merson. King 10 of clubs.
I'm not sure Merson wearing the Michael Jordan baseball jersey is a great idea. MJ had a .202 batting average with 114 strikeouts and 497 plate appearances. Of course, in poker, you only need to hit a couple of homers to make it big.
That's true. One of the more recent World Series bracelet winners. Just before the main event start, he won his bracelet. He calls. Now to Hill with ace-10 on the button.
Ace-10, don't bother. Don't bother.
She's bothering. She makes the call.
Ah.
All right, so the blinds are left. Small blind folds. Pulse seam in the big blind. Gets out of the way. 4 players, anybody's ball game.
A lot of respect for my end of the gun open.
3 men and a lady. That means there's 4 of you.
Thank you, Tim. The flop tray, 8 ace, 2 diamonds. Hill scores top pair. Jans with a wheel draw. Jans with 3 other players in the hand. Opts to check it here. Malherbe, second best with his nines.
Well, it looks like once a week online is enough to tell him to take a stab at this one with those nines.
It looks like he wants to find out how good his pocket nines are. $225,000. Merson now, who missed that flop. Merson's going to stick around. That's a raise to 480.
Now see, you play the ace, you hit the ace, and now you're left to wonder about the meaning of life. It's a bad spot for her.
Yeah, with the ace-10, even though she has top pair, not quite sure where she's at with a bet and a raise in front of her. Elizabeth Hill gets rid of the aces. Jans with his draw. And those cards go into the muck. Now back to Malherbe. He's got the best hand now.
Merson somehow makes the read, though, that Malherbe isn't very strong. Might be the Michael Jordan basketball jersey under the baseball jersey.
Boy, it's like the red cape of Superman.
Joe Navarro would tell you that resting your chin on your forearm is a sign of weakness or a tired chin.
Malherbe repops it, and Merson immediately folds.
Wow, very nice play by Jean-Yves Malherbe, and Greg Merson loses a chunk of his stack.
Yep, over a quarter of his chips just got bluffed off. Malherbe steps up and grabs the goods as he nears $5 million. You are watching the World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Las Vegas produces big winners every day, and this main event is on the verge of producing another one.
$8.5 million, 5th largest main event payout of all time.
Second in chips at the secondary table, Gaelle Baumann. As we move deeper in the main event, finding weak spots will be difficult, and Baumann knows this well.
I was lucky because I really had good tables, and I think it's really important. If we have a hard table, you're just going to have a hard time. Today my table is probably going to be a bit less easy than yesterday because, well, I looked a bit at the people at my table, and yeah, there are some good players.
She's yet to have a bad day here, each day ending up with more chips than she started.
David celebrated his 40th birthday on day 5 of this main event, which was his most productive so far. With trays, he raises to 100,000.
There may not be a better player left in this field than David Baker. He plays everything well.
ODB, as he's known, Omar Saeed, the New York City poker amateur, folds. Over to Michael Esposito on the cutoff with 5 tray. He gets rid of it. On the button, Gaelle Baumann with pocket kings.
No, you don't have to worry about a tough table when you've got pocket kings on the button.
29-year-old, born in Strasbourg, France, on the border of Germany, had 2 World Series cashes prior to the main event. And with the kings, and already some interest from David Baker, opening for a 100,000 chip raise, a re-raise to 250 here. And that gets David's attention. Small blind folds, and the big blind, Silas Watson, Jack deuce, into the muck. So back to Baker now.
He's getting 3-1 on his money here to see if he can hit a set or outplayer after the flop.
2 pretty deep stacks. Baumann started with 3.8 million in this hand, 3.3 million for Baker, who makes the call. All right, here's the flop. 6 king 10. Baumann comes up big with a set.
Well, I don't think David Baker is going to be able to outplayer after this flop.
Baker checked his trays. Baumann putting chips together. 230,000. Can David continue?
He's not going away yet. But when you've got that less than sign next to your percentage, you should go away.
Baker is taking his time. He finally does get rid of the trays, and Gaelle Baumann will take that pot from ODB.
Not too much damage to Baker. He tries avoiding playing big pots in the main event anyway.
Baker still with over 3 million chips, but after that hand, Gaelle Baumann moves over 4 million chips. And her consistent main event continues. Gaelle Baumann has stayed in the headlines of the main event ever since she led the field to start day 3, the first woman ever to do that. It's always hard to tell if cards or good play are responsible for deep runs, but no one can dispute the impressiveness of her performance.
She had a 15th place finish in this year's ladies event at the World Series, but the ladies event is mostly ladies. The main event is mostly men.
Mostly ladies. We'll keep it here at the secondary feature table. Omar Saeed with ace-8 offsuit and a raise to 110,000. Folded to Gaelle Baumann with the Jack Links beef jerky wildcard hand.
She once camped for 3 months in the Australian outback and went swimming with the sharks at Ningaloo Reef, which I believe is easier than solving the Jack Links wildcard hand.
Well, you're going to have to solve her here. She just calls.
From the cutoff, I'm going to put her on a pocket pair, but I'm going to hedge my bet. Pocket queens or pocket sixes, not sure. You know, it's a double whammy here, Lon. Figuring out cards and figuring out a woman.
And you've been so good at that.
Hey, I'm better than you think.
The button and both blinds fold.
Oh, she speaks 2 languages. She has 2 master's degrees. She's out of my league.
Omar Saeed and Baumann see a flop of tray 8 tray. Pair of 8s for Saeed. With the trays on board, and he's going to bet it 110,000, same as the pre-flop bet.
If she continues here, we'll throw out D, and she could be playing with the nut flush draw. So if she calls, I'm hedging my bet even more. A, B, or C.
You are the hedge master. There's a call. Turn card, deuce of spades. Omar checks the deuce.
Saeed slows down. I'm a little bit surprised. If she's betting now, it still could be A, B, or C, but I'm going to put her on B. I think she slow played pocket queens and is trapping an innocent man.
There is the bet of 220,000. Saeed with top pair right now.
Oh, he could kiss these chips goodbye.
Well, he puts them in the middle. We'll see.
Bye-bye.
All right, the river card. Another undercard to Saeed's pair of 8s.
That's a pretty good board for his hand.
Saeed, well, a little suspicious. Checks again.
Okay, if she had A or D, she missed her draw. She might bet D to try to steal the pot. No reason to bet A. Ace-king might be good anyway. And there's no upside to betting pocket sixes here, but she might bet again with pocket queens and hope Saeed calls with a pair.
It's all funneled down to pocket queens for you. Okay. 460,000 from Gaelle Baumann.
She's bet nearly half the pot. I'm thinking pocket queens.
As you said, Saeed's hand pretty good with that board. And he makes the call. Baumann had the queens, had it from start to finish to win the Jack Links Beef Jerky wild card hand. Another notch in your belt, Norman.
Do I know women or do I know women? Saeed was the one swimming with sharks there.
2 in a row for you, Norman. Saeed with about 1.6 million now. Baumann working on a 5 million chip stack. Some images of this main event repeat themselves over and over. Baumann stacking chips is one of them. Pro Leo Wolpert having some fun during a little downtime at the main event, posing with a photo of himself.
It's hard for me to look at that line because that is the actual size of my head.
One player known for his big hair, not his big head, Sam Holden. His main event run last year was impressive despite his early final table exit.
Is this where I use my one time? One time left.
Holden trying to become the first Englishman to win the main event. The club on the turn, kid slam the flush. Sam Holden finishes in 9th place. The river card, the 10 of spades, not one of them, so the Jacks protect Sam Holden from elimination.
He calls poker a mind sport, and he works hard on his poker mind, watching online video training sessions, talking to poker friends, keeping his game honed.
He started this main event on his 23rd birthday. Action on Greg Merson under the gun with ace-jack. And Merson will sit it out. Hill folds 9-4 over to Holden. Holden looks down at pocket queens.
Raise.
And a raise to 100,000.
100,000 is
He doubled recently with jacks. We'll see how the queens treat him. Over to the button, Jacob Balsiger with pocket fives.
Mr. Balsiger, I believe you know Mr. Holden.
He does indeed. Balsiger, the 21-year-old ASU student.
This is political science versus forensic science.
A call for 100,000. Over to the small blind, Jean-Yves Malherbe. When he plays, the amateur plays mostly tournaments. Ace-10 off.
Well, now you have the journalist, and quite often journalists stick their noses where they shouldn't. Malherbe might be thinking squeeze play here.
Oh, exactly. A re-raise to 330,000. In the big blind, Niels van Alphen, college student from the Netherlands.
22-year-old who hopes to raise money to start a commercial fishery. I would fold this hand and make some commercial fishery investor backer calls.
10-9 of spades into the muck.
Yeah, you should never play four-handed pots against a forensic scientist, a political scientist, and a journalist.
Back to Holden, now with the queens.
I think Sam Holden likes this spot. He's either up against a really big hand or more likely a squeeze play savant.
Yeah, Holden certainly not going anywhere with the queens, but what exactly does he do with them? A re-raise to 595. Balsiger with the fives.
500,000 is now the bet.
And they go into the muck.
He does the right thing.
Malherbe now.
Malherbe is a journalist, but he looks like the guy in the movies who runs the big criminal enterprise, sitting behind a desk, ordering hits, counting money.
The brains behind it all. He raises Sam all in, and Sam calls with the queens. So another gut-churning moment for Sam Holden.
Well, the journalist a bit out of line here. I guess that's a worldwide phenomenon. And Sam Holden now at risk.
Again. All right, so here we go. Malherbe against Holden. The flop, 8-8-6, no ace, and that's good news for Holden.
2-8. 2-8s would do it.
Yep, Malherbe would get him with a better kicker. Turn card now. Another 6, Malherbe still in need.
An ace on the river, please. Ace on the river.
Malherbe getting up close and personal with the dealer of the year.
Holden not out of the woods yet.
Ace on the river.
The river card is another 6, puts a full house on the board, but Holden's boat carries more cargo with the queens, and another double up for the Brit.
Sam Holden hanging tough in each critical hand.
2-6 on the flop.
Malherbe having to hand over a chunk of his stack down to about 2.5 million. Sam Holden now working with over 4.2 million. Sam went to the final table last year with just 12 million, has to feel pretty good about his spot. Holden knows all too well things can change quickly at the main event. You can go from a below average stack to above average in just a couple of hands, as Sam did. 63 players trying to get where Sam got last year, the final table, which will play out October 29th and 30th. You've heard a lot about him from Norman. There he is, Nico Mogg, the 27-year-old German amateur with pocket nines, was just re-raised by LA pro Amit Makija holding pocket eights.
Nico's my man, graduate of the University of Public Administration in Kiel, Germany. Needless to say, they are the Golden Gophers. Up against AMAC, a University of Minnesota graduate.
And Nico Mogg calls for 250,000 more. Eights against nines going to the flop. And the flop is all tens. Mogg's pocket nines give him the better boat.
That's a good flop for pocket nines or pocket eights. Of course, a better flop for pocket nines held by the indefatigable Nico Mogg.
Mogg checked it. Makija has the infamous less than sign next to his percentage. He bets 450.
But AMAC thinks he's best here. Mogg was a paratrooper in the German army for 4 years.
And just calls with the pocket nines. Turn card 7 of diamonds. Makija now drawing dead. Mogg checks again.
Makija, one of my favorite players in the game, also cashed in the 2010 main event.
And Makija again putting chips together after another Mogg check. And he's not making it easy on Nico, 675,000.
Boy, this pot is growing. Like Nico Mogg's prospects of winning this main event.
Mogg does persevere with the call. To the river they go. 6 of clubs. Mogg checks a third time. Makija checks as well. And the pocket nines will take the day.
Good pot. I feel badly for Makija, but he was up against the undeniable, inexorable force that is Nico Mogg.
Over 3.1 million in that pot going to Nico Mogg. Makija drops below 3 million. Mogg inflates his stack to more than 6.2 million. The man, the myth, the Mogg. Nico takes a big pot here on day 6.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high roller bowl 7 champion.
Oh, yeah.
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Welcome back to the World Series of Poker Main Event, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Lon McCarron with Norman Chad and Kara Scott as Day 6 continues. At an outer table, Andras Koroknoy in the middle of another kerfuffle. It seems he's been given a 1-round penalty, reportedly after he moved all in, then exposed his hand with action pending.
He's lucky we're not in California where they have the 3-strike law. One more mistake and it would be a life sentence.
Back at the featured table, a new player at this table, Russell Thomas from Hartford, Connecticut.
Boy, Andras Koroknoy, just a magnet for controversy at this main event.
That penalty with the blinds up will cost him $180,000. The blinds now $30,000 and $60,000. Malherbe with ace deuce suited with an opening raise to $125,000. Jack 9 of spades for Merson.
When he was learning the game, the only poker book Merson read was by Phil Hellmuth, who at the time was his favorite player. He has sworn that off now.
But he is part of the moneymaker effect, so you've had a hand in his success.
Terps help Terps.
Merson with the call. Thomas folded, Elizabeth Hill on the button, 10-4 of hearts, and she gives it up. Sam Holden in the small blind folds. And the big blind, Paul Seam, lives in Clearwater, Florida, from the Netherlands, recently became a U.S. citizen. He calls with Queen Jack.
Seam, a 41-year-old computer engineer.
3 players will see the flop. 6, 7, 7, 1 spade.
I think that flop is from another deck. It didn't come close to hitting anybody here.
Seam missed and checks. Malherbe with his ace high, which is the best hand. Has chips in hand, bets $225,000.
Malherbe takes a stab at it. We saw just a little bit earlier that Greg Merson is not always ready to give up on pots.
He is third best out of the 3. And I don't think he's too worried about that. He does call.
Merson with a call and a plan.
Seam folds, so heads up. Malherbe and Merson. Turn card. 4 of spades gives both flush draws. Malherbe has the nut draw. And Jean-Yves continuing to put pressure on his opponent. $520,000.
Malherbe barrels ahead, bluffing with the best hand. Okay, now we'll see if Greg Merson tips his hand, or his plan, that is.
Push your up. 1, 3, 35.
They have almost identical stacks. Malherbe with slightly more.
Wow, Greg giving this a lot of thought.
All in.
And he moves all in.
I would say
wow.
This is a real good read by Merson on the strength of Malherb's hand and his willingness to continue. But the Maryland kid has just risked all his chips on Jack High.
That is amazing. On day 6 of the main event.
Malherb barely has Merson covered. This would be an astounding call for essentially all his chips.
Malherb with ace high, and the draw mucks his hand, and what a move by Greg Merson.
What a play. If Merson were Michael Jordan, he'd just shake his head and shrug his shoulders after that pot.
A costly hit to Malherb's stack. It's often not about what you have, but what your opponent has. A well-timed move from Greg Merson. It's worth another look.
All in.
Tonight's Bracelet Moments are brought to you by PokerNews.com. Greg Ostrander, the former cop and underwear model, is now a bracelet winner as he took down the 3K No Limit Hold'em event for a cool $742,000.
Feels awesome. It's been a long time coming, and finally got an opportunity to make the most of something, and we got there today. We finally got it home.
In the $2,500 Omaha and stud high-low mix, none other than our very own Norman Chad made the final table, finishing 6th. But it was Alexei Kovalchuk who took home the bracelet and the money. Norman, I'm proud to say this, a very nice run this summer. I believe we can now say you're assembling quite a poker resume in the very few events you do enter, and I can't believe I just said those words.
Of course, I am proudest of my Jack Link's wildcard bracelet, which naturally was edible and delicious.
All right, on an outer table. On the left, young Daniel Strelitz, who just shoved for $3.3 million with pocket kings. Wilfred Hierig with ace king has $830,000 already invested, and he has Strelitz covered. And he does make the call to put Strelitz at risk.
Strelitz, 22-year-old LA pro. Hierig, 25-year-old German pro.
Almost 7 million chips in the balance, as well as Daniel's tournament life.
If the World Series of Poker had top doppelgangers of the night, Daniel Strelitz would be the kid from Almost Famous.
Here's the flop. Queen deuce 5 rainbow. The kings are still working for Strelitz. Hierig with still ways to score the elimination. Trey of spades on the turn. Strelitz's opponent picks up a wheel draw.
Hierig now needs an ace or a 4 for the knockout.
It's a deuce, and Strelitz goes from facing elimination to 6.8 million chips and first place overall.
Strelitz, roommates with 2011 main event champ Pius Hines last summer and this summer in Las Vegas, making some noise here.
Hierig gives up half of his chip stack. Strelitz, the former online poker grinder, can now test his big stack skills. All right, let's get back to the feature table. Folded to the small blind, Niels van Alphen, the 22-year-old Netherlands student, king 8 off.
This is what I know about commercial fisheries, Lon. If you want to get into that business, you got to be near water.
He sits with 2.6 million chips, a raise to 130,000. Greg Merson in the big blind with king 7 off.
This is what I know about Greg Merson. If there's a pot to be won, he's going to try to win it.
He's in the black for about 2 million here on this day 6, and he makes the call for 70,000 more, blind on blind. Here's the flop from Sean, the dealer. 5-7-6, up and down straight draw for Van Alphen. Top pair for Merson.
If Van Alphen is looking for commercial fishery investors, I think they may get jittery watching hands like this.
180,000, now to Merson.
Greg won a bracelet this year, as you mentioned, but he's an online cash guy, loves 6-max.
Chips in hand, just a call with top pair, which is best right now. Turn card now. 10 of diamonds. Merson's pair of 7s enjoys a 3-to-1 advantage now.
Of course, if Merson ends up losing this pot, I guess he becomes a de facto commercial fishery investor.
Indeed. Van Alphen with the draw. And he'll keep moving chips. 350,000.
The Dutch student plows ahead. Merson used to multi-table every day online, 24 tables. That's about 2,000 hands an hour.
He has played millions of hands online. And there's a call for 350,000. All right, so a pot of 1.4 million. The river card now is an 8. Van Alphen's 8s trump Merson's 7s. Van Alphen with the best hand checks.
Well, Van Alphen had bet every step of the way. Merson might check here and just hope the sevens are good.
What will Greg Merson do? More deep thoughts from Greg. Wow, there he goes again. And that would put Van Alphen all in.
Boy, it's tough to say all in twice when you're bluffing. This is amazing, Lon. He again is reading the strength of his opponent's hand, but if he's wrong, the risk is sky high. Yes, you need to know basic math and to run well, but if you know when your opponent can't call a big bet, you will be a successful poker player, period.
And Niels gives up his hand. Van Alphen cracks under the pressure of Greg Merson.
He didn't want to risk the rest of his chips with second pair. And Greg Merson, if you can win a hand when your opponent's percentage says 100, you've done something right.
Once might have been an isolated incident. Win a pot like that twice, and you become a name to watch. Greg Merson. Back inside the Amazon room, we get a look at David O.D.B. Baker, one of the shorter stacks at a loaded secondary featured table. It has been folded to him in the small blind with 10-9 offsuit.
At the 2010 World Series, Baker 7 cashes, 2 final tables, 17th in the main event. At this World Series, 8 cashes, 4 final tables, a bracelet, and another very deep main event run.
When it's folded to the small blind, often it's time for a raise, no matter your holdings. Eric Jonathan Hellman with 10-8 of spades.
You may recall Hellman from Frisky with Squadouche Junior College. He doesn't strike me as someone who folds his big blind that often.
22-year-old Swedish pro will defend his blind and make the call.
Let the battle of wills begin.
The flop now. Deuce, 6, king, 2 spades. No help to Baker. A flush draw for Hellman.
This year, Baker did not cash in his first 11 World Series events. Then he cashed in 8 of his next 11, which is rather unbelievable.
Baker is running hot. A bet of 140,000.
That's not going to shed Hellman and his spade draw.
A Swede enjoying his 4th cash at this 2012 World Series of Poker. He makes the call.
I smelled a raise coming from Hellman. My olfactory senses were off.
Turn card tray of diamonds. Baker ahead with a better kicker. Neither has paired up. Baker checks this time.
If Hellman doesn't bet here, I'm moving to Sweden and opening up a commercial fishery / bowling center.
Hellman is reaching for chips. 250.
And I don't see how ODB, the original David Baker, can continue here.
Both he and Bakes David Baker have bracelets now. Oh, wow, look at this.
Those are chips.
More than 250,000.
Wow.
And they're going in the middle. A check raise from Baker to 650.
That shocks me. Baker's rule in the main event is don't play big pots, especially if you don't have it. He doesn't have it, and he's playing a big pot.
Baker is picking his spots here. Hellman now with the call. Hellman was getting about 4-1. Battle of wills continues. The river card. Ace of hearts, Baker's 9 plays, and that's the difference between the 100% and 0 on the screen.
He's got nothing. Now, Baker could not have liked that turn call, but if he puts Hellman on a busted spade draw, maybe he can posture here again.
Yep.
Yeah, David actually has the best hand, but there's no way he can imagine that.
Well, he looks like he wants to play it as though he does. 750,000 from David Baker.
David Baker's best game is limit hold'em, but here you're seeing his no-limit chops.
So now back to Hellman.
I'm on.
Wow, has he been taking lessons from Greg Merson? Baker folds, and Hellman shows.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about Hellman's no-limit chops.
I wish I could show my hand. Nice one. I made a good play. I had 10 high myself, but I had a better kicker. I thought about calling first. I had 10-9. I had you outpicked. Had me crushed.
But it's Hellman who's stacking the winnings.
Another Squadouche classic where the guy with 0% next to his name is dragging in a big pot.
With 10-8 suited. Hellman now sitting with over 6.1 million. Back to the featured table now. And when the main event field gets boiled down to this, you see some terrific plays. Elizabeth Hill, 4 deuce of hearts in the cutoff position. She sits with 3.6 million. The 3 small stacks to her left. A raise to 120,000.
Hill took up poker 4 years ago. She looks up to fellow Norwegian Annette Overstad. Annette would have been proud of that raise.
Paul Siem in the small blind. King Jack offsuit. Amateur plays cash and tournament poker. Also Omaha.
280.
A re-raise to 280,000.
He senses weakness from his fellow amateur and pounces on it.
Elizabeth Hill now with 4 deuce of hearts. And not going anywhere, it appears. And Hill is going to put pressure on with a re-raise to 580.
In the new tradition of 21st century Hold'em, she is just 4-bet with 4 deuce. We've talked about how the deck has hit Elizabeth Hill at this main event. The deck's not hitting her here. Daring play has overtaken her.
Seen with about 2.1 million behind. Is King Jack worth it right here? And he does lay down his hand, and Hill will take that pot with a very nifty move.
Definitely want to see on TV. What's that? I will definitely want to see that one on TV.
Waitress my butt. She was hustling the cooks and the busboys, I guarantee you.
Elizabeth Hill shows why she is so dangerous at this main event, but she's not in the top 10. Daniel Strelitz leads the field after winning a massive pot with kings. Osmus in third, Gaelle Baumann in ninth.
I am still shell-shocked from Greg Merson's high-skilled, high-wire act. And how about Daniel Strelitz? He was down to 20 big blinds earlier on day 6. But to stay on top, he might want to learn how to play squad douche like the rest of them.
Pot after pot. Day after day, year after year, the overarching theme of the main event remains strong. Anyone can play, anyone can win.
I'm Gaelle Baumann, and I'm playing my first main event.
Jeremy Osmus, husband, father. This is my 7th main event.
Sam Holden, 2011, November 9.
I'm Greg Merson, 2012 6-max 10K champion.
Marc-André Ladouceur, this is my 4th main event.
Jesse Sylvia, and this is my 2nd main event.
Russell Thomas, and this is my 3rd main event.
I'm Elizabeth Hill, and I'm from Bergen, Norway.
My name is Jake Balsiger, and this is my first time playing the main event.
59 players left, all with designs on a designer piece of jewelry. The World Series of Poker main event bracelet. Some have made their introductions. Now, it's time to play the game. Welcome back to Las Vegas for our continuing coverage of Day 6 of the World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. The Amazon room at the Rio was once filled with poker players trying to make this year's final table. Now, as tables are being broken down, players trying to avoid breaking down in the face of so much pressure. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Las Vegas pro Jeremy Osmus is expecting big things, and his wife's expecting too.
Yeah, she's expecting him to bring home $8.5 million. Good luck, Jeremy.
Norway's Elizabeth Hill once led the field, but has fallen off that track.
She's a wolf in lamb's clothing. I'm not buying this sheepish act anymore.
France's Gaelle Baumann emerged on day 3 and has remained a force.
She's fluent in French, English, and Texas Hold'em.
Amateur Marty Zabib flips real estate for a living.
Like Jeremy Osmus, his wife is also pregnant. This is an unusual poker trend.
And there's the chip leader, 22-year-old Daniel Strelitz.
He owns his own poker training site. Looks like the kid knows what he's doing.
Strelitz on top with over 9 million chips. His closest competitor over 2 million behind. 59 players left as we go down to Kara Scott, who earlier caught up with a rising star in this field, Maryland's Greg Merson.
Greg Merson has had an incredible summer so far. There's really no other word for it. And you've not really had a break, have you?
No, it's been, this is the 10th day I've been playing a tournament that I still haven't been knocked out of. Someone just mentioned that to me earlier today, and I didn't even realize it, and it's crazy, yeah.
You won the event right before this one, another 10K championship bracelet, so there's a bracelet behind you. I bet you want that one.
Yeah, this one's a little better, a little more prestigious. And way more money at first.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Greg is at the feature table tonight with the second biggest stack, but he's got some tough competition.
Hill on his left could be troublesome, but Greg has impressed me so much, I don't worry too much about him. He should worry about me.
Elizabeth Hill has the third biggest stack at the table and small stacks behind her.
She looks innocent but plays deceptively well.
Just a handful of eliminations to go, and the remaining players will be guaranteed over $156,000. The blinds at $30,000 and $60,000 with a $10,000 chip ante. Fold that over to Greg Merson on the button. On the Jack Links Beef Jerky Hole Cam, Ace King.
He says he's been sleep deprived and drained from his bracelet run and main event run back-to-back.
With 4.4 million chips to start the hand, he raises to 125,000. Russell Thomas in the small blind, Jack 8 of clubs.
Russell, a 24-year-old Temple grad with a degree in actuarial science, and he actually works as an actuary.
Well, he doesn't think Greg is sincere with his raise. A re-raise to 310. Hill gets out of the way.
Well, the law of probability tells Thomas that Merson can't have a big hand every time he raises, but this time, Merson does have a big hand.
A 4-bet from Ace King to 555.
Thomas might be recalculating the law of probability.
I'm all in.
Call.
All in and a snap call from Merson.
Ouch. The misstep by Thomas could cost him his main event.
My goodness.
This could be dirty, I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good. Not a bad spot for you. I don't think it was bad or anything. See what happens.
Russell Thomas at risk with Jack 8 of clubs. Here's the flop, and there's an 8 in there. Thomas takes the advantage.
Thomas started this hand with 35 big blinds, all in with Jack 8, but it might work out.
Turn card, 9 of clubs. Merson loses some outs as Thomas adds a straight flush draw.
Merson now will need a non-club ace or king to knock out Thomas.
Will Jack 8 work? Yeah, it sure does. Another 9 on the river. Thomas went way out on a ledge and managed to survive.
Well, the Martin Stashko plaid works.
Thomas over 4 million chips as Merson's yo-yo-like adventures continue, giving up nearly half his chips.
Well, we've seen Greg Merson take a licking and keep clicking before. He'll have to do it again.
The leaderboard of the main event is usually a list of players who aren't known to the general public. Sure, some of the leaders are just running well, but others are as skilled as the big names the public does know. Someone like Greg Merson, who plays 2 million hands a year, is highly skilled. So, Norman, I ask you, what do you make of this leaderboard?
Like snowflakes, Lon, no two leaderboards are alike. Personally, I love a leaderboard on a late summer's day with a gentle breeze and the sun setting behind it. But here's the thing about leaderboards. Most of the names on them have pretty good games. Poker is filled with scores of highly skilled players. We can't know them all. So you might not recognize someone like Daniel Strelitz or Greg Merson, but trust me, when I'm lying on the beach dreaming of leaderboards, I wouldn't be surprised to see those fellows show up for years to come.
3 chips in play right now, the orange, green, and the 100,000 lavender chip. Under the gun is Russell Thomas with almost 4.5 million chips, about 1 million more than chip average.
That's an actuarial shirt.
And that's an actuarial fold to Elizabeth Hill, the Norwegian waitress who's been serving up some tough-to-eat beats to a lot of players. Ace 10 offsuit.
With Marcy Top eliminated in 71st place, only 2 women remain in the main event field, Hill and Gaelle Baumann.
Hill with a raise to 120,000.
If you get through day 6, you can really start dreaming about the final table. On day 7, they play down from 27 to the final 9.
For a lot of the players, the payout is big money, but it gets extremely big once you make the final table. Merson in the big blind with 9-8 offsuit, and he's going to call. So Merson will defend his blind and go heads up against Elizabeth Hill. Heads up. The flop, ace 7-10. Merson is open-ended and has to feel pretty good about that, but Hill flops top 2. Merson checks to the razor. Hill with aces up. 150,000.
Merson was knocked down to under 3 big blinds on day 5, so I doubt he's panicking with 35 big blinds left.
He makes the call.
If Merson can hit this straight, he's looking at a nice payoff with Hill having top 2.
Turn card, Queen of Hearts. Merson does not hit the straight. Greg first to act here. He's putting some green and orange chips together. Bets 285,000.
Small wager. Sort of a defensive bet by Merson, hoping to see the river for cheap. Of course, he'd prefer if she just folded, but that ain't happening.
Not with aces up. Elizabeth Hill puts a raise together to 650,000. And Greg Merson gets out of the hand.
Yeah, Greg gets the message. And I've got a message for him. Stay away from Elizabeth Hill. She's spoken for, and she keeps beating you out of pots.
Elizabeth adds several 100,000 newcomers to her stack, up to almost 4.7 million. A rough patch here for Greg Merson. Does he have another comeback in his bag of tricks? The 2012 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And WSOP Academy. Text WSOPA to 67777 for a free tip from one of their pros. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the 2012 main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. While we were away, the last remaining November Niner went bust. Sam Holden out of the main event in 55th place, courtesy of a bad beat from Hungarian Andras Koroknoi.
Evil man.
After his bust out, we caught up with Sam Holden.
Tournament poker's a stupid game. You're never happy unless you come first at the time. But obviously, looking back at this, I'll be very happy with the result and the deep run. I've been very fortunate to hold up in many all-in pots, lots of coin flips and stuff, so I definitely can't complain about my luck. And stuck the last 1.2 million in with 8s against 5s, but wasn't to be. I feel like I played a lot better this year than I did last year, because I feel like I've learnt a lot over the last 12 months, so it was a great experience.
9th in his first main event, 55th in his second main event. Sam Holden is 23 years old, and I think he should retire.
At the secondary featured table, someone who's had a few run-ins with Koroknoi, Gaelle Baumann. She controls nearly 5.4 million chips at the moment. And the current chip leader, Daniel Strelitz, with nearly 9.3 million. This table looks to set up nicely for Baumann with Strelitz on her right and the dangerous Rob Salaburu across the table.
Most people sit down and see a pretty face. I see a pretty darn good poker player who is handling the pressure well.
One player who is not on many radars is the amateur Marty Zabib.
Well, he's a Yankees fan. That's one strike against him. But I got to root for a guy who once owned a kosher health food restaurant and was a poker dealer.
When he's not flipping for chips, he's flipping houses right here in Las Vegas.
Hey, David. How we doing? You sleeping? It's 2:30. Ivan, are you guys done with the work over there?
Not yet. We need more paint.
So you're gonna get paid $1,200, but you don't have $20 to put in for the paint to finish the job. He wants $20 to finish the paint job.
You said he bought 4 buckets at $18.
Mike, I gave him $3,500, and he's crying about an $18 bucket of paint. I was dealing poker at Bellagio when a buddy of mine wanted to invest, and we went to a realtor, and it seemed like what they were doing seemed pretty easy. So I said, hey, I could do this. I'm not in the whole predicting the future game. I can't tell you what's gonna happen tomorrow. I know that today you can buy a house at a good price and sell it for a profit if you fix it up a little bit. Look! The whole idea in real estate is to stay away from like the major construction jobs and just to do the cosmetic, carpet, paint, in and out, and then sell it before the market drops another 10%. That's how you make the money. We used to make like 30-40% on a flip. Now it's like 7%. Poker and real estate have nothing to do with each other. One has a lot of risk and a lot of gambling. That's real estate. To me, poker is a very conservative venture.
He's flipped 100 houses this year, and I believe he leaves a Yankees baseball cap in the master bath of each one.
Wilfried Hierig opened with ace-queen of spades to 120,000. Zabib with ace-10 off makes the call. One of the shorter stacks at this table. Folded around to the big blind. Daniel Strelitz, the tournament chip leader. A tray into the muck.
Hierig, another Martin Stashko fashion impersonator.
Hierig with a bigger ace, ace-queen against Zabib's ace-10.
Zabib has a huge rail here. I think it's everybody's ever sold a house to.
The flop deuce 4-5 all diamonds. Hierig with a wheel draw, but Zabib drawing to the steel wheel.
I love straight flush draws.
Check 2, Zabib. He checks as well.
Boy, Marty should have bet his draw. That's called flipping the flop.
King of spades misses both. Hierig's queen kicker keeps him ahead. 350,000 from the German.
Now Hierig's betting with nothing. He's got the better hand, but it's nothing. Another chance for Zabib to seize this pot.
Just a call.
He should have raised with that draw. Come on, Marty.
River card, and there's a diamond. Zabib gets there with the flush. Hierig reaching for chips and decides to check. Now Marty Zabib.
Yeah, it's the ace of diamonds, Marty. You don't have to fix it up at all.
Zabib, 540,000. And Hierig gets rid of it. And Marty Zabib adds some much-needed ammunition to his arsenal.
Marty's written a film script about poker. Trust me, someone should write a film script about Marty.
Hierig takes a dip as he drops below the chip average. Marty Zabib now with 2.7 million.
Do you want to know what I had that hand? I had 3-6 of diamond. I flopped the straight flush. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you see David ODB Baker is out, and with Leo Wolpert's elimination, we're down to 49 players.
When ODB is on the poker road, he rooms with Ray Henson. Those two have rotated deep main event runs recently. Baker in even years, Henson in odd years.
Folded 2, Marty Zabib. We'll keep it here at the secondary featured table. Zabib looks down at Queen 6. Over 2, Eric Jonathan Hellman, 22-year-old Swedish pro, 9-7 of spades.
Hyper-aggressive.
Hellman opens for a raise to 125. Rob Salaburu with ace-queen of diamonds repops it to 275. Now the chip leader, Daniel Strelitz.
How much did you start with?
4.2, 4.1, maybe 3.9.
Boy, every time Salaburu speaks, the number goes down. He could be bust before Strelitz even acts.
Strelitz with ace-king. Ace-king worthy of a 4-bet to 540,000. Big blind, Gaelle Baumann now with ace-king off.
Baumann actually in a tough position here with ace-king off. You know, I don't think Hellman's sticking around, but I like his hand.
Against all those aces, maybe so. Baumann. Wow, and she's going to re-raise to a cool million, so everyone has raised. Hellman does get out of the way. And now Salaburu with ace-queen of diamonds.
Salaburu usually acts quickly. This is a fold, no? It's been 5-bet. Raised twice behind him. He's crushed by aces, kings, queens, or ace-king.
Playing around like he wants to raise, perhaps, but it would be a tough raise here for him even, and he does fold. Now Strelitz also with ace-king, the tournament chip leader.
Bowman.
And he flexes his muscle, raising Baumann all in.
Yeah, Gaelle does not like it for all her chips.
Call. She makes the call, and what a big decision with ace-king for Gaelle Baumann.
Well, they do have the same hand, but I give the edge to Baumann because she has the ace of spades, the prettiest card in the deck.
Very nice.
Strelitz snacks, Baumann smiles.
All right, here's the flop. 7, 4, 8, 2 hearts. Strelitz has the ace of hearts.
Hellman wants his hand back. Baumann now at risk to running hearts.
Turn card is another heart. Strelitz with the flush draw.
I'd feel so dirty, though.
Kevin Pollak got knocked out by this very scenario. She might get knocked out now by a guy with the same starting hand she had, munching on a roast beef sandwich.
The river card is a club, and they will chop it, but not without drama.
Diamond is awesome there. Diamond? Yeah.
3 hearts had Bowman's heart racing, but an innocent club on the river keeps her main event alive.
I would have felt really dirty if I won that.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion. Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that bite?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Day 6 of the main event continues from the Rio. Gaelle Baumann keeps her bracelet hopes alive, but we head back to the feature table to check in on Elizabeth Hill and Greg Merson. A couple of players on divergent courses. Hill on the rise lately, and we've seen Merson lose more than half his chips in short order. Hill under the gun with pocket jacks. Sits with almost 4.7 million. She raises to 120,000.
The remaining main event field is pro heavy, but this table has an actuary, a waitress, a financial guy, and a computer engineer all sitting next to each other. Plus, we have 2 college students at this table.
Action on Jean-Yves Malherbe from Brussels, Belgium. Ace-7 of hearts.
And Malherbe's a journalist. Lon, you and I could sit down at this feature table.
And get crushed by talented amateurs. A re-raise to 265 from Malherbe. Niels van Alphen, King 6 into the muck. Greg Merson want to get involved with 5 trade. No thanks. Thomas folded his big blind. So back to Hill now. Hill re-raised by Malherbe, but Hill has a real hand here. And she's going to 4-bet it to 575. Here we go again.
One of the routine dynamics with female poker players is men trying to outplay them. It's a bad natural male instinct, and this is a bad time for Malherbe to follow it.
With the suited ace, And this amateur wants to 5-bet it to 935.
How much do you have behind?
Before the end, 3 million.
All in.
And she says that's a good number.
Jean-Yves Malherbe's already committed 30% of his stack, but does he want to play for the rest of his chips with the weak ace?
Hill has him covered, and Malherbe will give up his hand.
Wow. Uncontested chips are better than 15% tips.
So that's how you guys roll over here, huh?
That's right.
That is.
Welcome to the table.
Welcome to this.
Almost $5.8 million for Elizabeth Hill now, and getting that aggressive with jacks may not seem that unusual to a lot of you viewers, but Phil Locke and Antonio Esfandiari have some thoughts of their own.
It's not every day you see a 6-bet pre-flop, especially with pocket jacks, but I guess you just have to know who you're up against.
Right. Elizabeth gets the word. She knows that Jean-Yves is a very active player. She decides, you know what, jacks is a decent enough hand against this player. I'm going to hold on.
Right, and some players, you insta-muck pocket jacks. For instance, if I'm sitting in Elizabeth's shoes and I'm up against Phil Hellmuth and I get 5-bet, guess what? My jacks are in the muck.
Wow, what an amazing example of knowing your opponent and adjusting appropriately.
Action underway at this featured table. Greg Merson opened for $125,000 from the cutoff with ace-10 of diamonds. Folded to Elizabeth Hill with ace-jack of clubs. And she's going to re-raise to $300,000. Omar Saeed with pocket queens in the big blind.
Uh-oh, three's a crowd.
Saeed, another amateur from New York City with a re-raise to $635, and that gets rid of Merson.
Now Elizabeth has run into a big hand. Can she recognize it?
Elizabeth Hill has been very reluctant to back down from what we've seen. And now here is Omar Saeed with a 4-bet into Elizabeth.
All in.
And here you go.
All in. I call.
And Saeed calls all in with his queens.
Saeed at risk. Hill putting more than 40% of her stack into the middle.
Did you move or did she move?
I didn't.
She moved in and I called.
Saeed more than a 2-to-1 favorite here. And the flop, 8-5-6 rainbow, a whiff for Hill. Saeed still good.
Clean flop for the 36-year-old New York amateur.
Turn card down. 10 of clubs. Hill sees more bad news there. It leaves Saeed a card away from a double up.
3 outs for Hill. Only an ace would send Omar Saeed home.
The river card. Another 5. Saeed can breathe again as he secures 5 million chips, doubling through Elizabeth Hill.
Saeed now healthy. Hill now less healthy.
Omar Saeed with almost 5.1 million. Elizabeth Hill perhaps reconsidering that 5-bet. She'll have to come to terms with a much lighter chip stack. Every hour of the main event redefines the word pressure. It exacts a toll with every hand dealt. How much can Elizabeth Hill take? As the field dwindles, the players have 2 thoughts, the bracelet and the money. At the featured table, Elizabeth Hill suddenly with a below-average chip stack, and with the blinds up to 40 and 80,000, she sits with 41 big blinds. Folded to Greg Merson on the button with ace-6 off.
This year he has cashed in 4 of the 8 World Series events he played.
He loves to get involved. A call of 80,000, just a limp from Merson.
A little change of pace.
Small blind Russell Thomas with ace-7.
Actuarial science, please. Who is hiring actuarial scientists in this economy? They're always the first to go.
The man's working full time. Come on. In the big blind, Elizabeth Hill. On the Jack Link's beef jerky hole cam, 6-4 off suit.
Merson and Hill again. They're becoming like Tracy and Hepburn.
Greg and Liz, where we headed to the flop.
I think that's the first time.
All right, the flop. 10-4-4. There's a big blind special to the max. Trip 4s for Hill, and she checks.
Limping on the button is going to backfire in a big way. I keep telling him to stay away from her, but I guess he doesn't trust my relationship advice.
Handing the reins to the aggressive Merson, he does not disappoint, betting 85,000.
The guy trying to outplay the gal again. It doesn't work. This now is reminding me of the film Adam's Rib.
Now look out for Hill with trip 4s. That's 300,000 in green, a hefty raise from the big hand.
I've warned him. Man to man, terp to terp, stay away from the dame.
Well, I'm not sure Merson is much of a believer here. And Greg with some lavender chips worth $100K each. $515,000, that's a min raise from the bluffer.
Oh, jeez. It's as if Merson has shown up at the rodeo, but he forgot to bring his bull.
And Elizabeth Hill
850.
is firing back $850,000 and an immediate fold from Merson.
He's frustrated and probably disgusted with himself.
Actually, I've lost like every single hand to her.
I'm telling you, leave her be. Go try and bust open a Duke Pinata or something.
The downward spiral continues for Merson while Hill rebounds a bit. She's back over 4 million chips. All right, let's get over to the secondary featured table. The action has been folded to Charlie Coltis, a part-time poker pro, full-time engineer in Seattle.
Well, he's not dressed like an engineer, but he is.
Ace-10 off suit, robotic engineer, 26 years old, with a raise to $190,000. And it's Marty Zabib, the amateur, with the Jack Links Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
Let me tell you something about Marty Zabib. He's such a nice guy. His ex-wife is here rooting for him.
He calls for $190,000 from the button.
Well, I'm throwing out Jack-9 completely. He wasn't raised that way. It's probably a small pocket pair, B or C. But I fear the Grim Reaper has come to take Marty Zabib's chips.
Heads up, Coltis and Zabib. Trays 7-7 in the flop. Misses Coltis. Wow, nice check.
A very holistic checking motion.
Marty Zabib now checks as well.
With that flop, Marty would have bet either pocket pair. He's got nothing.
A deuce on the turn.
Coltis graduated from the University of Washington.
And Coltis with another holistic check.
That one was almost hypnotic.
Zabib puts out $225,000.
Now Marty's trying to steal the pot. He doesn't have deuces full. He's got king, queen, and if Coltis calls, Marty's got a problem.
There's a call. He's got a problem, I guess.
I tell you, Marty is flipping the wrong house in the wrong neighborhood.
All right, the river card. Another 7. Coltis left with ace high and another check.
He should patent that check.
He should. All right, Zabib now. $375,000 is the bet this time.
Marty with the value bet bluff, I believe. Will the mechanical engineer / Grim Reaper pick it off?
Oh, he has the right chips in hand. There's a call. Zabib had king, queen, second best in this Jack Links Beef Jerky wild card hand, and you were right, Norman.
Strong.
King of spades, queen of diamonds.
Nice hand.
I was strong indeed, Lon.
That's 3 in a row. You're above 500 now.
Nice read.
I believe Marty got cut off. I think he said nice read, and if you're interested, I have a nice house on Durango with plenty of closet space for your hooded sweatshirts.
Colt is up to about chip average now. Daniel Strelitz, the chip leader at the secondary featured table, has more than twice that. At an outer table, Amit Makija in the hat flopped queens up and checked against Marc-Andre Laudesseur's jack high. Laudesseure on the left bluffed at it with a bet of $190,000.
The hunk versus AMAC. I can't choose sides. Laudesseure I could marry, and Makija, I believe, would make a terrific roommate.
Amit with a raise to $450,000.
Laudesseure finished 63rd at last year's main event.
French-Canadian calls himself a semi-pro. And he fights back, a re-raise to $710,000.
Boy, that's a lot of bluff in those re-raising chips.
With just jack high.
How can that face be so cold-blooded towards my AMAC?
He's giving your AMAC a lot to think about. Makija with the call. Laudesseure started the hand with about 7.4 million. Makija with about 2.3 million. 7 of hearts on the turn. Laudesseure drawing dead. Makija checks. French-Canadian checks.
He slows down. I didn't expect that.
Ace of clubs on the river.
Makija can't like that card.
Yep, overcard to his queens, and he checks it. Laudesseure now. Not so quick to check it.
He's about to fire again with nothing.
Just crammed.
Makija would have to call all in.
Well, Laudesseure's got him mumbling, representing something like ace-king. Makija doesn't want to believe him, but he doesn't want to call off all his chips either.
You had it in where it is. You will not shove that river, would you? Man, any other river card, please.
Marc-Andre has Amit squirming.
I do not want to bust the main event calling off the river. That's not my way. Let's bluff here in the spot. If I got there with a bluff. I would probably not have bluff here in the spot if I got here. Every time I've called in the spot, I've been wrong, but I was getting it.
Makija folds.
Show me a bluff, please.
Do you really want it?
Yeah, I want it.
There it is.
It's so sick. It's like the only river card that gets me. And I wasn't even planning on folding on it. Nice play.
Thank you.
A backbreaker from Makija is still my heart again. What a play from Marc-Andre.
Over 8.4 million now.
I swear I've called in that spot like a million times in my tournament career, never been right. One time I folded. It's the first time.
Looks like Amnon Makija missed a once-in-a-million opportunity, allowing Ladisor to move up the leaderboard. Back inside the Amazon room, I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad and Kara Scott as we head down to an all-in situation with the local poker pro Jeremy Osmus and Amit Zolkowicz. Zolkowicz at risk. He flopped middle pair. Osmus, though, hit top pair. They got it all in after the flop. Turn card is a queen. No help to Zolkowicz.
Zolkowicz going to need an ace or a 7 or he is gone.
Zolkowicz looking for a last-minute reprieve. Another tray on the river. Zolkowicz is out. Jeremy Osmus has the knockout. Amit Zolkowicz, the latest to fall at the 2012 main event. He goes out in 49th place.
8 cashes at this World Series for Osmus before this one, and he's trying to make this one count for $8.5 million.
He sits now with a total of nearly $9.3 million. That's enough to put Osmus into second place overall. Ladisor in third, and it's 22-year-old Daniel Strelitz still in first. One player having a rough time of it here on day 6 is Greg Merson, but that pales in comparison to a day he had in April of last year.
I put in so much work this year, and there's so much. Last year was just so brutal. Black Friday was like the worst day of my life because they just ripped away what I had worked 4 years to go from 1-2 no limit online to some of the highest games in the world. And then it's just ripped out of my hands, And then I know that I have to leave my family and my dog to leave the country to pursue my dreams. But, I had to do it.
Now he's living in Toronto and he wants to come home. And here's another reason I like this guy. He loves spending time with his dog.
Jean-Yves Malherbe with a raise to $160,000 with ace-queen, all folded over to Merson with jack-10 of clubs, and he makes the call.
Merson says he feels like he's in the military where he's stationed overseas to make a living.
Russell Thomas with jack-9 of diamonds will come along with a call. Elizabeth Hill, does she want to get involved?
If Hill comes into the hand, Merson should just muck his hand immediately.
He has been having trouble with her. Saeed folds over to the small blind, Paul Seam.
Merson's father also played in the main event this year. He busted on day 1.
Seam gets out. In the big blind, Jacob Balsiger on the Jack Links Beef Jerky Hole Cam, 8-6 of hearts.
You may recall Balsiger busted his roommate Greg Milliron on day 5. Russell Thomas once lived with Jesse Sylvia, and he's still alive in this main event.
For 80,000 more, Balsiger calls from the big blind. 4 players will see the flop. You talked about the fashionable min raise. It does often bring in the big blind to the hand. Deuce, ace, 9-2 clubs. Balsiger missed it. And he checks. Malherbe now with ace-queen. He's best with top pair.
Malherbe is scheduled for surgery after the main event to remove his chin from his left arm.
He bets $280,000. Merson now with a flush draw.
It's been a frustrating day for Greg Merson.
Merson with the flush draw, hoping to get paid off. If it hits, he makes the call. Thomas with middle pair. And his 9s get out of the way. Balsiger lays down as well.
So we lost the plaid shirt and the checkered shirt, and now we're left with the striped shirt and the sports jersey.
And the 2 short stacks at this table. 7 of hearts gives Merson a gut shot in addition to his flush draw. Malherbe still on top with top pair, and he checks.
Merson doesn't have a hand yet, but he's got chips, and he's jonesing to win a pot.
In against the amateur, bets 425,000. Malherbe now.
I'm all in.
Says all in. Wow.
Good luck.
And a call from Greg Merson on the draw.
Well, Merson got the right pot odds to call, but the problem for him, if he loses this pot and he's a 3-1 dog, he's down again under 3 big blinds. Malherbe at risk. With 1 card to come, Merson essentially risks his main event on a draw.
The river card is a club, and Merson rivers the flush, and in all likelihood saves his tournament for the moment.
Well, you gotta feel for Jean-Yves Malherbe.
He is knocked out in 48th place. Bang!
That's a tough way to be sent down the boulevard of broken dreams.
Well, Merson doubled up and then some with the knockout and the 4-way flop up to $3.7 million.
Merson's high wire act is remarkable. He's Carl Wallenda with chips.
Elsewhere, 1 player at risk, another pondering going all in. Here's what happened. Scott Abrams on the right with aces and the big stack re-raised. Ahmed Makija and the hats already all in with ace-queen off. Tristan Clemenceau with pocket tens now calls all in. So Scott Abrams with a 2-for-1 special here with his aces.
Well, AMAC pushed with 15 big blinds left, and to his horror, 2 guys wake up with hands behind him.
All right, now the flop. Queen trace 7.
He's got some spades left in the deck too, maybe.
Clemenceau misses. Abrams still good. Makija paired his queen.
4 spades one time.
Look at you.
Turn card, another 7. Clemenceau and Makija 1 step closer to elimination.
Clemenceau needs a 10 or he's gone. Makija needs a queen or he's gone.
River card is a 9, a blank for both of them. Abrams, holding his 2 best friends, scores the double knockout.
Makija will stew on that river fold to La Douceur for a long time.
Out goes Makija in 47th. Out goes Clemenceau in 46th, each earning $156,000 plus.
It was a good time. Next year.
The action continues at another table. Fabrizio Gonzalez in the blue called all in with pocket 8s after pressured by the bigger stack of Andras Koriknoy and his dominating pocket 10s.
You may recall Gonzalez was all in and beat Greg Merson in a monster pot on day 5. Now all in again in another monster pot.
The flop queen 7 jack, pocket 10 still better than pocket 8s.
Koriknoy sitting in the same seat Gaelle Baumann was in when she raised and he mucked after moving all in.
And that brings Gonzalez to that moment. He needs a card.
Gonzalez has to have an 8 or his main event is over.
It's a tray. Andras Koriknoy's pocket 10s hold up, and he picks up a huge amount of chips in the process.
Gonzalez, 24-year-old pro from Uruguay, doesn't want to leave. This is his 2nd main event cash in 3 years.
He's the first to pick up the pay bump, out in 45th, earning almost $192,000. Koriknoy minding his P's and Q's, very little drama associated with that hand. Gonzalez exits the scene, as so many others have, in a state of disbelief.
This Andras Koriknoy does not care what human lives he shattered.
Gonzalez got so close to the ultimate main event glory, and the reality of the moment is setting in. The main event offers the dream to all, and to all but one, the dream remains just a dream. Tonight's bracelet moments are brought to you by PokerNews.com. And by far the biggest cash of his career, Joey Weissman earned nearly $700,000 by winning the popular $2,500 no-limit hold'em event, capturing the first bracelet of his career. In the $1,500 pot limit Omaha high-low event, personal injury attorney Steve Loeb notched his first ever World Series of Poker cash and, oh by the way, also won the tournament, good for $267,000.
It feels really good. I feel really fortunate, lucky. Just ran well. It was awesome.
The earlier bracelet events run for 3 or 4 or 5 days even. The main event is a 9-day affair. 10 countries still represented. The race for the last female standing down to Gaelle Baumann and Elizabeth Hill.
Only 2 bracelet winners are left in the field, Greg Merson and Steve G, plus the indefatigable Nico Mogg still is looming.
One player may be feeling the effects of this World Series of Poker grind is Greg Merson. 2 tournaments, 10 straight days of play, but a profitable 10 days. A bracelet, 7 figures in earnings, and plenty of opportunities to wear different jerseys.
We have a lot in common. Both of us born in Washington, D.C., both grew up in suburban Maryland. Both of us went to the University of Maryland, but hey, I graduated, and well, he might be more successful than I am.
Weber Kang has joined the feature table. He brought almost 3.8 million chips with him. He's 31 from Garland, Texas. Ace 9 of diamonds.
You say Weber Kang, I think Clubber Lang.
He introduces himself with a raise to 160,000.
Kang did finish 86th at the WSOP Main Event.
Merson now with Ace King of clubs.
Merson was knocked down to under 3 big blinds on day 5. Most people check out in that spot. He battled back.
You mentioned he won a bracelet just recently, and he banked over $1 million with that win. He just calls. Russell Thomas in the button folds. Hill. Queen 9.
Leave Greg alone.
She does. In the big blind, Omar Saeed folds Jack Deuce. So heads up, it'll be Weber Kang, the newcomer, and Greg Merson. Merson has Kang dominated. Here's the flop. Ace King Trey. Uh-oh. Kang with only a pair of aces. Merson with top 2.
This is setting up quite nicely for Merson.
Kang bets 175,000.
Merson's loving this spot, and he'd love for Kang to have an ace in his hand, which is what Kang has.
Merson with top 2. Just a call. He will keep Kang on the hook.
2 deep stacked players here.
6 of diamonds. Weber Kang adds a flush draw.
A big card for Kang, and yet he's in serious trouble.
Kang with 425,000 now.
Merson looking to turn around his day right here.
A beautiful spot to do just that. And he's going to put some pressure on Kang with a raise to $1,075,000.
Well, if Weber Kang were Clubber Lang, he'd go for the knockout right now.
Kang with top pair, but he can't bank on that. He needs to hit a diamond. Weber Kang shoves.
A call.
A call from Merson, and he's in good shape to pick up a bunch of chips.
Well, this is a lot like the Merson Malherbe hand. Kang at risk, but with 9 outs. If Merson's hand holds up, he'll be among the chip leaders. If Merson loses here, again, he'll be knocked down to under 6 big blinds.
Kang, the newcomer to the table, looking for help. The river card. The 9 of hearts, and Kang is out. Merson dodges disaster again, sending Weber Kang to his main event demise. Weber Kang out in 41st place.
Good game.
Well, Clubber Lang ultimately couldn't overcome Rocky, and Greg Merson has a Rocky-like quality to him.
Merson with a rush that has inflated his holdings to nearly 8.2 million. He started this day with just under $1 million.
Nice. Didn't he already win a bracelet this year?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, he has. And if he keeps chipping up like this, a second one could very well be in his future. A roller coaster of a day for everyone, but the wildest ride has belonged to Greg Merson. Welcome back to the main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Inside the Amazon room, we head over to the secondary table. Gaelle Baumann with 3.5 million chips, about 2/3 of the current chip average of 5 million. Action on Dave Balkin with pocket 10s from Australia.
The amateur was thrilled to play day 1 here with Shane Warne and hear all his old cricket stories. I don't like old cricket stories.
A raise to 220,000 folded the Gaelle Baumann with ace-jack of hearts.
Balkin attended the University of Western Sydney. Baumann graduated from the University of Western Australia. Huge Division I cricket rivals, I believe.
Baumann with a call of 220. The blinds are up again to 50 and 100,000. The ante remains at 10,000. In the big blind, Helman with king 9 of spades.
Helman, as you may recall, from Frisky with Squadouche Junior College. They do not have a cricket program.
A former salesman in Sweden comes along for 120,000 more. So 3 players will see this flop. Ace 9, 10, something for each, but Balkin with the lion's share hitting a set. Helman with bottom pair is way behind. He checks.
Balkin studied horticulture in college. That's where he got the hat.
This set of 10s.
425.
Balkin bets 425,000 to Gaelle Baumann with top pair, who needs a lot of help to win this hand.
But she's not going anywhere with a pair of aces, and I think she fancies the hat.
And that is 425,000 for the call. Helman now gets rid of his 6% hand, so we're heads up.
Good disciplined fold from the Swede.
Baumann and Balkin. 7 of hearts brings some help to Baumann with a flush draw and straight draw. Balkin still a 3-1 favorite with the set. He wants to play.
1 million.
1 million.
She's got top pair plus the nut flush draw and a straight draw. With that hand, Helmond would go to Disney World and raise all in as he booked his ticket. But this is a dangerous spot for Gaelle.
She started the hand with only 3.5 million, and there is the call with the draw.
Pot is growing, Alon.
Over 3.6 million. And Baumann with the shorter stack. River card, the 4 of hearts, and the nut flush comes to Baumann on the river.
Death to the University of Western Sydney. Once again, the University of Western Australia has their number on the field and on the felt.
She's going to savor this.
I'm all in.
All in.
Cool.
And an instant double up for Gaelle Baumann with her flush.
Yeah! You lost, bro.
You lost.
Huh?
Balkan thought he won the hand.
That was Aussie, oi, 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 as an oi vey.
So poor Dave Balkan didn't see the flush, and the truth will sink in like a searing knife. Big win for Baumann.
He thought he had a top 10 chip stack. Instead, he loses 3/4 of it.
And what a boon to Gaelle Baumann at the expense of Dave Balkan. She was behind until the river with about half her stack in the middle. Balkan down to just about 1.1 million.
You calling if no heart comes? You calling a shove if no heart comes?
No.
No? I'm just asking.
With that pot, Baumann comes oh so close to breaking the top 10, but she's definitely back in the hunt. Strelitz still the leader. Ladisur, the only other player above 10 million. Russell Thomas and his plaid shirt are in third.
What a heater for Daniel Strelitz. Earlier on day 6, he was under $1 million. Now at 13 million, and he's our chip leader. And how about Gaelle Baumann? 2 master's degrees and mastering the main event.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high roller bowl 7 champion.
Oh, yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Tonight, when the last bag is sealed, on day 6 of the main event, the field will rest at 27 players. And if history is any indication, tonight is the night when the eventual champion will separate him or herself from the pack.
Ace Queen. I was gonna stuff it down your throat.
Ooh. In 2011, Pius Hines climbed from 56th to 8th. And there goes Hines again. 20 million chips. In 2010, Jonathan Duhamel battled from 17th to 6th. This will be the biggest river card of the tournament. Who will follow in Hines and Duhamel's footsteps and make a push of their own? So many legitimate applicants with just one spot open.
Somebody's gone, for sure.
Day 6 concludes now. Welcome to the final hour of Day 6 of the World Series of Poker Main Event, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. In the immortal words of Lloyd Christmas, everyone thinks they have a chance at the bracelet. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad and Kara Scott, and it is time to push up the leaderboard or push out.
There is rare video of Lon and me preparing for a broadcast.
Elizabeth Hill has the eyes of the poker world squarely on her and her chip stack.
No red-haired Scandinavian waitress has ever made the main event final table.
Jamie Robbins finished 11th in 2009. He's hoping for better this time around.
Some crazy things happening right now. I'm hoping that I'm the next one to do something big and crazy right here because I need it. It's time to double up and get to the final.
Greg Merson might be the most talented player left in the field.
He's from the great state of Maryland, and that is his game face.
22-year-old Daniel Strelitz has a stack almost worthy of the final table.
He's too young to have a game face. He could use a shave and a haircut.
39 players are left. Strelitz on top. Canadian mark Andre Ladisur is also over 10 million. You see Jamie Robbins in 9th place with almost 8 million.
Yuval Bronshtein sitting there in 6th place, another product of the University of Maryland Poker Factory.
We're going to start tonight's action at the secondary featured table. One player who has received quite a bit of media attention, Gaelle Baumann of France, and deservedly so, the day 3 chip leader and an above-average stack on day 6. For now, this table is playing shorthanded, just 7 players here, 8 players at the other 4 tables. Baumann has the biggest stack.
Gaelle has run well, but now is the time to open up her game. Waiting for cards won't work at this point.
Rob Salaburu sits with an average stack, but everything else about him stands out.
He dresses quick, he bets quick. Salaburu is hard to miss. He's a tough player who should fare well at this table.
The current payout level, almost 192 grand. There's a $45,000 jump for making it to 36th place. Tonight, we're playing down to 27. Also at this table, Australian Dave Baumann, who felt an unusual high and low on one street in the span of just a couple of seconds.
I'm all in.
Cool.
Yeah! You lost, bro.
You lost.
You lost.
Huh?
You lose.
Sorry.
I feel badly for Baumann, but he should have to wear a "You Lost Bro" t-shirt for 1 year after thinking he had Gaelle Baumann beaten after she tabled her hand.
Baumann now sits with just about $1 million. Salaburu with a raise.
All in.
And Baumann says all in.
Oh.
Quick call from Rob Salaburu.
I'm going to need some help.
Baumann pushing with his last 10 big blinds into the middle.
Blinds at 50 and 100,000. So Rob Salaburu with the bigger ace trying to get us one closer to the final table.
And maybe Baumann won't watch this one so he can't misread the board.
Good point. Baumann at risk. And there's a 4 in there. Baumann gets a little hope, but he's not celebrating.
Well, that's the best looking 4 he'll ever see. Salaburu doesn't care for it.
Turn card now. Baumann ahead. And now he's won the hand with trip 4s as he doubles through Rob Salaburu.
Sorry, mate.
He apologizes to Salaburu after doubling through him. Americans could learn a lot from Australians.
2.2 million and a little boost of confidence for Baumann now.
Yeah, some breathing room now for the 36-year-old amateur.
After I just got my ass handed to me in the last hand, I suppose.
A constant debate at poker tables and coffee tables is how much of this game is skill and how much is luck. If you saw that last hand, you'd say there was a lot of luck. But if you watch the entire main event and see how deftly the top pros maneuver their chips and cards, you can't help but realize just how much skill it takes to make it this far.
In poker, as in life, every dog has his day. How else to explain my World Series final table this summer? It was event 42, by the way. You could look it up. But dogs don't have 365 days. The game of poker is not all skill, but skill wins out in the long run. Sure, there's that old expression, I'd rather be lucky than good. Still, at the end of this 9-day main event grind, it's almost always a skilled player with just enough luck along the way who takes home the top prize.
Over at the secondary table, Charlie Coltis in the hoodie opened under the gun with pocket deuces for $200,000. Marty Zabib, the amateur house slipper from Vegas, is all in with ace-9 suited.
Marty pushing there with 7 big blinds left. Zabib, as you said, flips houses for a living. It looks like he's going to flip here for his main event life.
Good call.
Coltis made the call with the smallest pocket pair. Can Marty Zabib hang on here?
Once again, the Grim Reaper has come for Marty Zabib's chips.
So Zabib on his feet, at risk. 2 overcards to the pocket deuces of Charlie Coltis.
Coltis, 26-year-old Seattle engineer and semi-professional player.
Double deuces.
In my dreams, the Grim Reaper is never wearing glasses.
All right, Zabib at risk with ace-9. The flop 10 queen tray, no ace, no 9, no spade.
As a Yankees fan, Zabib should be able to buy luck, no?
Ah, good point. Turn card down. Another 10, short of pairing up. That's a pretty good card for Zabib.
Queen 9, ace, ace on the river.
Deuce ball. Deuce.
3, that's a good one. Who said 3? 3.
Deuce and spades
ace,
on the river.
queen, do you know all the cards you need?
Another queen, and I guess it was not Marty Zabib's time to go. The 2 pair on the board with his ace kicker means a double up.
I have half the average. I have half the average. Half an average stack.
Coltis can ill afford to suffer any losses. It could have been worse. Zabib was a very short stack.
Well, it pays to be lucky, and Zabib found just enough luck there to turn back the Grim Reaper.
He's a happy camper. Coltis provides the double up. That might be enough to get Marty to the next step on the pay ladder here in the main event.
Excessive celebration, table 4. No.
A little luck can go a long way.
Ship it.
Confidence is definitely very important when you sit around the table against like really tough opponents. If you lose your confidence in your own game, you can basically just fold every hand, and it doesn't really matter that you play because they will push you out of the pot anyway. So confidence is definitely very important, and I will try to keep my confidence up through this day and hope that I won't let them push me around. They're bullies, some of these guys.
That is Norwegian Elizabeth Hill. With about an average stack, she hasn't let too many people push her around so far. Confidence and guts that belie her innocent looks.
She took up poker 4 years ago, learning how to play from her boyfriend, Harold Olson. He paid for her $10,000 buy-in here after he cashed in a 1K World Series event, and they'll split her winnings.
She sits with pocket trays now, reaching for chips. That shows a little confidence right there. And a raise to $200,000. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Hole Cam, Omar Saeed folds Queen 10. The chip leader, Strelitz, gets out of the way. Jan Heitmann from Munich, Germany with pocket 8s.
The German Antonio Esfandiari, he used to be a magician, also does poker commentary on German TV. I believe our magician is better dressed.
Good point there. He calls for $200,000. Around to the blinds. Niels van Alphen folds. Greg Merson in the big blind. Gets rid of Queen Deuce, so it'll be heads up. Hill and Heitmann, 2 players with pretty even chip stacks. Couple of small pocket pairs. The flop, 4, 5, 6, each with a straight draw. Hill is up and down, but the 7's no good because Heitmann has a gut shot to a higher straight.
Pretty good flop for pocket 3s. You know, I got invited to a Norman Chad Hold'em home game. They did the 2-card flop, 2-card turn in the river. They also played it 2-1-1-1, the 2-card flop with a turn, a peekaboo in a river.
I like the peekaboo. A bet of 325 from Hill with her draw and pocket trays.
I didn't play because even in a game I invented, I'd be an underdog.
Heitmann comes along. He's got the best hand and the higher straight draw. Turn card is the ace of spades. That helps neither.
I'm still touting the small blind, big blind, super blind. 3 blinds, more action.
Hill providing plenty of action for Heitmann, bets $475,000.
Heitmann best friends with George Danzer, who finished second at World Series event number 42 this year. That's the one I final tabled.
42. Oh, that one. Yeah. Well done. Heitmann now with the 8s and the best hand and a raise to $1.1 million.
Hill had fired 2 barrels, showing confidence like she spoke about. Now Heitmann's raise perhaps has shaken that confidence.
And now Elizabeth Hill comes to the realization Heitmann is just a little too stubborn for her this hand, and Heitmann will stack the winnings.
Heitmann might have been raising there to try to get Hill off a hand like pocket 9s or pocket 10s. He cashed in the 2008 main event, and then I believe he served a 4-year ban for wearing that shirt.
Heitmann up to almost $6 million now after that loss. Elizabeth Hill down to just over $3.8 million.
Now she takes a hit there, and like she said, if you're going to let them push you around, you may as well fold every hand at the start.
All right, let's get some updates away from the featured table. Poker pro Amnon Fillipi feeling the pain of elimination, out in 39th.
His second main event cash.
Former chip leader Kyle Karanen follows Amnon out the door in 38th.
Good run for the 30-year-old Las Vegas pro.
Each wins almost $192,000, so 37 players remain. The average stack, $5.3 million. Chip leader continues to be Daniel Strelitz. You are looking at Sharia Asare. His jacks are best after the turn against the pair of 6s and straight draw of Bobby Corsione.
Asare, a 58-year-old IT consultant. Corsione, 34-year-old Boston pro.
$500,000 from Asare with the best hand. Corsione puts out 500,000 green chips.
This tournament is such a long grind. Asari started the main event with a shaven head.
The river card now is the 8, and what a board for Corsione, who rivers an 8 high straight.
Big pot brewing.
Asari with the same bet, $500,000.
You may recall Asari when he played ace-9 tricky against Vanessa Selbst and got a lot of value from her. He's not going to get value on this one.
Corsione now.
In his first main event, got to be considering a raise here.
First World Series cash. Amount to be determined. No raise from Corsione, just a call. The jacks are no good. Corsione will take the pot.
Corsione just with the river call, just in case Asari had flopped diamonds. Tough one for Asari, but hey, pocket jacks never win.
That's true. A third of his stack goes to Robert Corsione, who's up to over $8.4 million now. That was a nice pot. So the former realtor from Boston building a pretty good arsenal out there. Back at the featured table, original raiser Elizabeth Hill with ace-10 has seen a 3 and 4 bet behind her. Omar Saeed 3-bet with ace-king, only to be 4-bet by chip leader Daniel Strelitz on the right with aces. Hill gets out of the way. To Saeed now.
All in. Call.
He shoves with ace-king, Strelitz with a snap call with the aces.
Saeed runs into a monster, and it looks like Daniel Strelitz is going to continue his day 6 heater.
And Saeed's fine showing in this main event looks doomed. The amateur from New York City needs a lot of help against the tournament chip leader. There's a flop. Jack 9-6, that's a no fun flop for Saeed's ace-king. The biggest stack, looking to get even bigger.
Saeed's going to need running kings or running straight cards here.
Turn card, another 6, and Saeed drawing dead. The amateur showed once again he can play with the world's best, out in 37th here in 2012.
Yeah, this guy's got 2 degrees and 2 main event cashes. That's impressive on both fronts.
Omar Saeed with a well-deserved round of applause from the table mates, and the crowd wins almost 192 grand as well.
And Daniel Strelitz has got to be thinking, final table, here I come.
Strelitz extending his chip lead with a dominating stack of over 16 million. This is the 2012 main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Just before the break, Daniel Strelitz used a timely pair of aces to eliminate Omar Saeed. The payout is up. Just 4 tables of 9 players left in the Amazon room. Strelitz with more than a 5 million chip lead over Ladasur. 2012 bracelet winner Greg Merson in 8th. Just out of the top 10, Gaelle Baumann with over 7 million, while Elizabeth Hill has fallen back to 3.5 million.
This could be the first time 2 women make the final 3 tables at the main event since 2000. That year, Annie Duke finished 10th and Kathy Liebert 17th.
It's been nearly a turbulent free ride for Hill, including a hand against Will Souther in which she made quad 10s. She executed a double knockout to perfection, taking down former November Nighter Eric Buckman in the process. For Gaelle Baumann, a seemingly easy trip to the latter stages of day 6.
One time.
She took out longtime pro Freddie D.
The wrong one. Okay, good hand.
And then got lucky on the river. It's the ace of spades. Baumann spikes the winner and will knock out Mefodichev. So Baumann still in action at the secondary feature table. She just looked down at pocket 8s on the button. Wilfried Heyrig opened for 200,000 with ace-7. And a call from Baumann.
She first started playing poker in home games when she was at the University of Western Australia. Then when she returned home to France, she began reading books and watching videos on poker, but I don't think she saw any of my books or videos.
So both blinds fold. It'll be Heyrig and Baumann. The 8s against the ace-7 heads up. The flop is 8-7, 6 top set for Baumann and a hammerlock on the hand. Heyrig with middle pair. He checks.
See, I have an entire video, Lon, devoted to flopping top set. It would help her enormously right here.
She says, how about some green? No, maybe some orange. No, maybe some lavender. A little bit of each. 260,000.
Our researchers tell me this is the first time a Wilfried has made it this far in the main event.
He makes the call. A pot of over 1.1 million. Turn card. 4 of diamonds. Heyrig's best hope now of stacking chips would be if a straight comes on the board for a chop. He checks.
They're sitting right next to each other, but neither will look at the other for the fear the attraction would be too great to continue.
She checks behind. River card, ace of diamonds. Heyrig probably likes that. He's got aces up, but it's no good.
That's a bad card for Heyrig.
He immediately reaches for some of the lavender chips worth 100,000 each. That's 7 of them.
I call.
And a call from Baumann, and she will take all the chips with her set.
Gaelle played that one cautiously on the turn in the river. That's what we call Norman Chad, scared of your own shadow poker.
It did get you a final table, though.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Event 42. So Gaelle Baumann will take that hand. Over 8.5 million chips means she is in the top 10 now.
Gaelle Baumann and Elizabeth Hill still turning heads here at the main event, looking to make history.
Still a force here in the 2012 main event, Gaelle Baumann. We are now down to 35 players. Average stack approaching 5.7 million. At an outer table, Marc-Andre Ladouceur in the brown shirt turned a jack-high flush. On the right, Sharia Asare flopped trip threes. Both he and Danny Wong checked. Wong, a 27-year-old poker pro from Vegas. Ladouceur now betting $600,000 with his flush.
Asare, born in Tehran, lives in Leesburg, Virginia. Trip threes with an ace, could raise.
Ladouceur hoping he does. Asare with the call. Danny Wong gets out of the hand, so heads up. Trip threes against the turned flush. River card, Queen of Diamonds. Ladouceur avoids disaster of the paired board. Asare checks again.
Ladouceur, 29-year-old Canadian semi-pro.
Wondering how much he can get.
If Ladouceur glances at Asare one more time, I think he has to ask him out to dinner.
Ladouceur says 1.3 million.
He bets almost half the pot.
And a call from Asare, and he better hand over the chips. His trips are no good.
We just saw Hierig in a plaid shirt, Ladouceur in plaid shorts. Maybe they should go out to dinner together.
Ladouceur's flush pays off big time with that 5 million chip pot, boosting his stack to almost 11 million.
Sorry, he's taken a couple of tough hits.
Back at the secondary featured table now, Marty Zabib just 3-bet all in with ace-6 off for almost 1.4 million. Dave Balkin called and will try to earn the knockout holding pocket eights.
The real estate amateur and the IT amateur. The local favorite, Zabib, is at risk.
Zabib in a deep hole with his tournament life at stake. All right, the flop. Deuce Jack 5, not much for Zabib to cheer about.
Zabib's main event staring at foreclosure. Balkin in great shape for the knockout.
Balkin not sitting easily, though.
Anybody fold an ace? You can tell me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
Turn card is an ace! Zabib turns a corner and takes a 19-1 advantage to the river.
Anybody fold an 8? You can tell me also.
Balkin now needs an 8 to knock out Marty Zabib.
The river card now is an 8! Oh, and sometimes the 1 comes home to beat the 19. Zabib is out.
A crazy 8. And Marty Zabib is 86.
35th place, wins almost $237,000. That could buy 3 or 4 flippers in this town, Norbert.
6 glorious days here, and painfully for the likable local.
So Marty Zabib and his rail will make their exit. Balkin all business as his chip stack is still below the average, but the Aussie headed in the right direction once again. What a wild way to leave the main event. Yeah. Joy on the turn, but the ultimate pain on the river. Balkin eliminates Zabib in 35th place. Back inside the Amazon room, looking at the 08 Player of the Year, Eric Lindgren. Here's Kara with a report on the 2012 race.
The World Series of Poker Player of the Year award is determined by a point system that's based on where players finish in WSOP events. The higher the finish in a larger field event with a bigger buy-in means more points. Now, you don't have to make the main event final table to become the winner of this, but it doesn't hurt. Just ask Ben Lamb, who was the 2011 Player of the Year. With the eliminations of Vanessa Selbst and David Baker, now there's just one player who can knock Phil Ivey off the top spot for this summer, and that's Greg Merson. This steep run means that he automatically takes second place, but if he makes the final table, he will take the lead. Now, of course, there are still points to be won in World Series of Poker Europe events, as well as the main event final table, so the race itself is still wide open.
UMD, UMD, UMD.
And, of course, next year's World Series events in Australia will count towards Player of the Year points. Action on Eric. Jonathan Hellman, under the gun, has the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
Is this the second time I've had to try to figure out this guy? It isn't fair.
The Swedish pro with a raise to $200,000.
Before he went pro, Hellman was a salesman. He sold Squadouche door to door, I believe. I've got him on C5-4.
Russell Thomas with pocket queens makes the call. Folded around to the small blind, Jan Heitman with Jack 10 offsuit.
He has a business degree from WHU Otto Baseman School of Management in Koblenz. I believe they are the Golden Gophers.
He calls for 150,000 more. Merson in the big blind with a weak king into the muck. So 3 players.
By the way, I have fun with Helmon, but he's a tough and dangerous player.
You're right about that. And you've been right 3 times in a row so far in the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand. The flop ace, deuce 8. Heitman misses that.
Oh, look at these guys. I can't deal with these 3 shirts in one hand.
He checks. Helmon.
He's going to bet.
Nope, he checked to Thomas now, who can't love seeing the ace in the flop.
That's a bad sign for me. I thought Helmon was going to bet. This could be a Jack Link's disaster for me.
Check to the turn. Another ace. Heitman. Checks again. Now Helmon.
You think he's betting with jacks or 8s here, but he's not. He might have picked up a straight flush draw, or maybe he's got pocket 3s.
$250,000 from Helmon. Thomas with the queens, figuring the likelihood someone has an ace. A little less now, makes the call.
Thomas playing this very cautiously.
Heitman out of the hand.
Maybe Thomas has an actuarial read on Helmon.
Ah, good call. River card. Tray of hearts.
Oh man, what's with that card? This joker just made a wheel, or even better, 3s full, because I guarantee you Helmon was not betting with jacks or 8s on the turn. All right, I'm going with 3s.
All right, 3s it is. Helmon reaching for chips. Puts together $650,000, a quick call. Helmon with the trays and the full boat to win the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
Yeah, I was right, but Lon, this is why I play Racco or Go Fish. I'm done with poker. I'm done with suck-out savants. No bad beats in Racco.
Helmon wins the hand over $8.1 million. A slight hit to Thomas's stack brings him down to $7.8 million. And you, sir, are perfect on day 6 in the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hands.
I own day 6.
Over to the feature table with ace-queen suited. Tomasz Samo was 3-bet by Elizabeth Hill, holding pocket queens. These are the 2 short stacks at this table, both under chip average.
Samo, 28-year-old Slovakian pro.
Call.
Says all in, and a snap call from Hill.
Got to show, son.
Yeah, he's got to show first. But there are the queens. His ace-queen's behind.
With ace-queen, Samal was hoping he was in a flip for his tournament life, but it's much worse than that.
Don't share yet.
I had an ace.
Huh?
I had an ace. I threw one out, so something. Now you're down to 2 aces.
That is a painful-looking all-in stance.
Okay, Summel at risk. Here's the flop, 4 deuce tray, all diamonds. That'll keep them on their toes. A wheel draw for Summel, flush draw for Hill.
Summel hoping for the last ace in the deck, or a straight now, but he's got to avoid diamonds.
The turn card is a diamond, and Hill scores the flush and will send Tomasz Summel out the door. So the Slovakian poker player out, winning just shy of $237,000.
Boy, they're all coming over to shake his hand. Maybe he's royalty, or they're just really glad to see him go.
Getting closer to the final table, out in 32nd. Hill up to over $5.7 million now.
Hill and Gaelle Baumann hanging around, busting the boys club.
Now definitely reason to cheer for Elizabeth Hill's supporters. The hand is done, the pot was pushed, and she is once again working her way up the leaderboard of the 2012 main event.
Phil Ivey makes the call to put Robbins at risk, so Robbins king-queen against Ivey's ace-10.
That call cost Phil Ivey 1/3 of his stack.
Here's the flop. Tray 8 tray, Ivey's ace keeps him ahead. Turn card now. Is another tray. Phil is fine with that card. The river card now. Is a 5 of clubs. Robbins can't pull the miracle this time. He's knocked out in 11th place.
Take it down, buddy. Take it down.
Robbins earns almost $897,000.
It wasn't that long ago that Jamie came that close to final tabling this tournament. We mic'd him up earlier in this main event.
You're from Germany? You know the other, what's his name, Wilfred? It was crazy. Everybody was just like, it was bad. Wow. Keep those green ones. They're for us. Okay, show me that one. Okay, I guess I get to use my one time. Bam! I only do that one time a tournament. One time I get some emotions, and that was it. Welcome to the main event.
Robbins on a mission. That 11th place finish stuck in his craw. He says it's final table or bust.
At this featured table under the gun is Steve G, a poker pro from Sacramento, California, 56 years old and still in it. Cheers to the elders.
He won a bracelet in a $1,000 no-limit hold'em event in 2010, worth nearly $500,000 to him.
G with a raise to $200,000 with ace-king. Jamie Robbins on the button with 8-4 of clubs.
38 years old, lives in Lake Tahoe, California. Big hiker, biker, surfer, loves the outdoors. He should have played in the 1997 main event. The final table that year was played outdoors on Fremont Street downtown.
Wow, a little different weather than Lake Tahoe where he lives. Over 100 degrees that day on Fremont Street. He calls with 8-4.
G puts the hood on. Might be expecting a storm.
Ah, good point. Folded to the big blind. Roland Israelishvili with 8-7 of spades.
54 years old. He was 37th in the 05 main event.
And he will come along. So 3 players to the flop.
These 3 guys are 56, 54, and 38. Stop the presses.
The flop, 7 jack, ace in the window. Israelishvili with a pair of 7s and checks. Top pair, top kicker for Steve G.
G was a poker pro in his 20s, then quit and worked 9 to 5 for 20 years. This is his second stint as a poker pro.
He puts in $350,000. Robbins with 8-4. He missed that flop.
Robbins a pretty good part-time poker player, sports bettor and entrepreneur. He runs a sports handicapping site.
And it looks like he wants to stick around. A raise to $775. What's he up to?
Wow. Robbins appears to be on a mission to make his chips disappear before the final table.
Roland folds bottom pair. Back to Steve G now.
G worked 13 years as an accountant, then 7 years as a software testing manager. I don't know if he's programmed to deal with Jamie Robbins.
He does look a little befuddled. Robbins appearing strong with his actions. The top pair, top kicker for G will keep him around.
If G re-raised there, I'm not sure what Robbins' plan was.
That would have been fun to watch. All right, the turn card is the king of clubs. G gets stronger, turning top 2 pair. Robbins with the flush draw, and G checks.
$1 million.
And a cool $1 million from Robbins.
Well, he announced $1 million like the hand is over. It ain't over. If that were a heart, G should be worried, but the king of clubs likely didn't change Robbins' hand.
And G looks pain right now.
It's straight out there. How can you bet?
Robbins would have had to raise the flop with Queen 10 to make the straight. Not likely.
Robbins has G covered, and there's $1 million from G to make the call.
I guess G fears Robbins flopped a set on him.
All right, the river card is the jack of diamonds. Robbins started with nothing, ends with nothing.
But I don't think Steve G likes seeing that card.
G is best with aces and kings. Checks again.
Now we'll find out if the outdoors guy has ever skydived without a parachute.
Can he survive this hand?
1.6.
$1.6 million from Robbins. Boy, that is cold.
Robbins trying to will his way to this pot, and he's actually put G in a dicey spot. This would be for a little more than half of G's remaining stack. If he called and were to lose, he'd have just 14 big blinds left. Of course, G's gonna win if he calls, but first he's gotta find a way to call.
Yeah, nothing left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna be broke.
Or he'd have almost $9 million if he calls.
Ace Jack's got me. I'm trying to figure out what hand you have I can beat. Ace Jack's got me. Pocket 7's got me.
He is struggling.
That's incredible. Wow.
Wow, G folds the ace-king and shows his ace. Robbins will take the pot and shows the 4.
Say it. Showed the 4.
Robbins told a convincing story, gave G every reason to believe he was beat.
Wow. That was your good one or a bad one?
You'll see the other one on TV.
Showing that 4 was cold. You know, that would be like in The Sting after they ran the big con against Doyle Lonigan, if they brought him back into the wire room to show him that nobody's dead and he was duped.
Main event. Right?
Nice hand. I got shown.
One of the most interesting hands of the tournament, and something pretty unusual happened to start it off. Here's what Joe Navarro noticed.
Sometimes we see behaviors that really stand out. We wonder, why did they really do that? In this instance, let's take a look at Steven. He realizes he's got a pretty good hand, and what's he do? He puts a hood on. He might as well have yelled, hey, I've got a good hand, but I'm hiding that I have a good hand. And then we look at Jamie here, and Jamie's kind of interesting because he's a tough read. He compresses his lips a couple of times, but what really stood out for me and made me wonder about whether or not he had a strong hand was that left arm of his. Normally, when we're strong, we tend to make ourselves bigger. But in this case, that arm was very close to his body, and it made me really wonder, does he have the nuts?
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Well, you might think that pulling the hood over his head was an isolated incident. We took a look back at 2 other times Steve G entered the pot since he came to the featured table. Here's what he did. With 9-8 offsuit, the hood stayed down. Now with pocket fours, a medium strength hand, the hood came up. Does that make you a believer, Norman?
No, I've literally put my jacket on mid-hand because I'm cold. And traditionally, I also take off my wedding ring when my wife leaves me. It's not a tell, it's a reaction to environmental circumstances.
All right, back to Steve G now at this feature table. Ace-10 offsuit on the button. Just 2.5 million chips to work with. A raise to 200,000.
Oh, okay, he just raised with a pretty good hand on the button. How come the hood didn't come on? Huh?
There you go. There it is.
Oh, wow, Lon.
Daniel Strelitz.
Excuse me while I go draft an apology to Joe Navarro.
With 9-6 of hearts, Daniel Strelitz makes the call.
You know, Lon, I'm just an online guy who's not keen on tells.
So G and the young tournament chip leader will see a flop. King, Jack, Ace, 1 heart, top pair with a Broadway draw for G. Strelitz missed that.
I really got to give Joe Navarro props on that one. I really do.
$325,000, the bet from Strelitz, a 22-year-old from Torrance, California.
Strelitz trying to pick G's pocket like Robbins did. I wish G would raise here.
Just a call from G.
See, if he raised there, the hand could be over. Or I guess he could get re-raised out of the pot.
We saw that same situation in the previous hand. Deuce of hearts, Strelitz now with a flush draw.
Boy, this looks like the sequel to the Robbins G hand. This could be the Sting 2.
All in.
All in. All in. That would, of course, put Steve G all in.
Boy, and G in even a tougher spot here than he was against Robbins. You hate calling off all your chips. Again, the big stack trying to abuse G.
And G makes the call all in this time with the best hand.
Yeah, well, they kept pushing G around. He pushes back, but he's got to fade a heart to keep his main event alive.
Strelitz with a chance to take out G if he can get lucky here on the river.
I got a perfect day.
The river card is a spade, and G does survive with a double up through Strelitz.
Elder power.
So Strelitz will give up a small portion of his stack. Steve G moves back over 5 million chips, but he may want to rethink that hoodie idea. Tonight's bracelet moments are brought to you by PokerNews.com. This year, there were 5 $1,000 no-limit hold'em winners. Germany's Dominic Nietzsche took home his first bracelet, as did Will Jaffe of Bridgehampton, New York. Rocco Palumbo from Genoa, Italy. Pocket tens were the winning hands for both Michael Gaffey from Brussels, Belgium, and from Oakland, California, Max Steinberg. Only 2 of these players had ever made a World Series final table before winning a bracelet this summer. Michael Gaffey finished 5th in the $2,500 mixed hold'em event this year, and Max Steinberg finished 2nd in a $1,500 no-limit hold'em event back in 2010.
Max's twin brother Danny finished 6th at the 2010 World Series Europe main event.
And the very comfortable Greg Merson will be under the gun here. The Jack Link's beef jerky whole cam for Trey. He'll fold that. Helm on now. Looks down at ace-8 of hearts. The Swede really wanted to play pro hoops, but poker stole his heart. He raises to 200,000. Salaburu with a quick re-raise with kings.
I believe Salaburu thinks this is the World Series of speed poker. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone act as quickly as he does.
He had a min raise to 400,000. So it's back to Helmand now.
Come on, call.
Yeah, a bad move for Helmand there.
What was that? Helmand with the mini blow-up, Salaburu with the insta-call. Salaburu's got him, but he's got to hold or his main event is over.
Yep, the king's about 2-1 to hold up. And he will not rest easy until the final card has come out.
Eric does have more chips. Here comes the flop.
All right, the flop. 9-4-6-1 hearts. Salaburu still good.
7 of hearts, please.
See, Helmand's such a gambler, he'd rather turn a big drawing card than the ace that would give him the best hand.
All right, the turn card. Salaburu all in. Jack of diamonds, no help to Helmand.
And now Helmand is going to need an ace and an ace only to send Rob Salaburu packing.
He can hardly stand to look. The river card, the queen of clubs, Salaburu fades the hatchet card and comes away with 6.3 million.
That's it.
Thanks, man.
That's a big chip transfer from seat 1 to seat 2.
Helmand down 41%. Salaburu passes Helmand on his way up the leaderboard to 6.3 million. So Salaburu, the Texas pro, getting a little stronger. At the feature table, Elizabeth Hill was dealt pocket deuces in the small blind, is facing an opening raise to 250,000 from Andras Koreknoy with 5-4 of spades. The blinds are up to 60 and 120,000. And Hill makes the call.
You know, I'd watch a show that is Andras Koreknoy versus the world.
That would be very interesting, and that's pretty much what he's up against here at the main event. G folded his big blind. Hill and Koreknoy see a flop of 7-10 deuce, and there is bottom set for Hill. A flush draw for Koreknoy. She checks.
Well, she was acting as if she's completely disinterested in the hand. Koreknoy is certainly interested by the draw.
Has some lavender chips and a couple of orange. 310,000.
Let's see if Elizabeth Hill springs to life.
Oh, that looks like more than calling chips.
Well, she is springing to life, but slowly.
Slowly springing to life.
All right, I'll be back after she raises.
There it is, a raise to 785, and that gets all of Koreknoy's attention.
Koreknoy does not like that. Women weren't even allowed to check raise until 1987.
Koreknoy with the flush draw will come along. Turn card now. With Hill ahead and still ahead with the ace of diamonds.
Hill played her first main event in 2011 and busted on day 3. Here in 2012, it seems as if she keeps getting big pocket pairs or hitting sets on the flop, and that's helped bring her to day 6.
And it looks like Hill is going to make Koreknoy pay to see the river card. That is 825,000.
Koreknoy getting almost 4-1 on a call. And that ace gives him more outs drawn to the wheel.
Hill sitting very comfortably with her set. Andras does pay to see the river. All right, so a pot of almost 4 million here at the featured table. River card is the king of hearts. Hill's set is best.
Well, Hill knows her 3 deuces are golden, but she's not going to get a call here.
Koreknoy missed everything. And there's 2 million from Hill. And you're right, Andras can't continue. Elizabeth Hill with another nice pot. She kept Andras Koreknoy on the hook until he screamed uncle.
What, the bus just dropped off a bunch of folks from Frederickstadt?
Elizabeth Hill with almost 10 million now. Koreknoy gave up about a third of his stack.
I think they've been drinking for a while.
This is the World Series of Poker Main Event, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Just 28 players left on this day 6 of the main event. The Amazon room getting emptier and emptier. Jordan Batt, who made friends with Matt Marafiati at the featured table, just bowed out in 29th. After his elimination, we caught up with him, and understandably, he was quite emotional.
It was a grind. It was a long time. I'll get choked up here. I miss my family. I want to go home. It was a good run. I expected to be out after day one, and still here, so I'm very excited to go home tomorrow, so I'll say that.
Nice fella. I'm sorry to see him go, but I do think it's bad karma to bring your luggage to the poker table.
Jordan will bring a pretty good paycheck home to his family. Over here at the secondary featured table, Russell Thomas, the big stack here with 10 million even. Action on Helmond here in the small blind on the Jack Links Beef Jerky Holcam, ace-jack.
Come on, call.
And a snap call with ace-queen from Salaburu, who has Helmond dominated and at risk.
Helmond now pays the full price for his mini blow-up earlier, and it's just bad luck for him here. Salaburu happens to have him dominated from the big blind.
Helmond was tortured by Salaburu's kings recently, and now Rob has the best of this Swedish pro again.
The 22-year-old needs a lot of help. The 27-year-old Texan trying to help him out the door.
Here's the flop. 7 queen deuce.
Spade ball.
Top pair for Salaburu.
Helmond remains resolute and upbeat. He's 6% to survive.
King of spades, one time.
He needs something quick. Turn card, the 4 of hearts. Helmond misses and is drawing dead and can make travel plans home now. A little needle on the river. Helmond paired his jack, but he's out in 28.
Good game, bro.
Helmond, to his credit, the anti-Phil Hellmuth with his departure.
He earns almost $237,000. A nice run.
An active, dangerous player leaves. A great way for the remaining 27 to move on to day 7.
So with that elimination, day 6 has come to a close with just 3 tables in play, 27 potential world champions. Leader Marc-Andre Ladouceur will carry 130 big blinds into day 7. Salaburu is in 3rd, Hill in 5th, Jamie Robbins in 7th. Merson, Sylvia, Balsiger with average stacks. Jan Heitman, the only non-American in that group. Gaelle Baumann finds herself near the back of the pack, but it's Nico Mogg who will come in as the day 7 short stack.
Hey, Nico Mogg plays the short stack like Stradivarius plays the violin. He'll be fine.
All 27 players pointing towards that first place prize of over $8.5 million. Elizabeth Hill looking good, heading to day 7.
You owned it. You owned it so hard. I mean, you played.
Greg Merson bagging his chips and thinking about what jersey to wear on day 7. Ladouceur way out in front. If day 6 was moving day, then Marc-Andre Ladouceur is the man to watch. 56 at the end of day 5, chip leader to start day 7. Others making big moves include Greg Merson, Daniel Strelitz, and Mr. 8-4 Jamie Robbins.
1 million. Incredible. Wow. 1.6.
You know the names of the final 27. You know their faces. Soon you will know the October 9.
Say it. Showed before.
For Norman, Chad, and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarran. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.